Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary, Ashton, and this is our WWE catch-up commentary for post-TLC 2019, where we're going to be covering everything that happened on Raw and SmackDown after Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. Ashton, how are you feeling about it, bud?
Amazing!
Absolutely. Yeah, I can even say tonight, just while working most recently, which obviously we're not going to do that formally, but just coming off SmackDown tonight, I thought it was an amazing episode. It definitely got me hyped for the Rumble, which we all know is the first stop on the road to WrestleMania. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun unpacking these shows with you, brother. So let's just dive right into it whenever you're ready.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I can probably speak for both of us when I say that getting us hyped for the Royal Rumble is probably the easiest job that WWE has to do every year.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. Absolutely.
So, yeah. And I agree. This is a really strong episode of SmackDown. I feel like WWE is on some like consistency, like some continuity type shit right now. It's kind of blowing my mind because what I like to do every time we do these catch-up commentaries, I'll take notes on Raw, SmackDown, and then I'll look and I'll kind of consolidate. You know, if something happened on Raw both weeks that played into the same story, I'll put them all together so that we can cover it all at once. And I gotta tell you, man, there were only 3 segments on Raw this week and only 1 segment on SmackDown this week that did not tie into something from the previous week. I love that. I love the continuity. I love the consistency. And the stuff that did happen this week that wasn't a continuation of something from the previous week wasn't even bad. It was all good, actually, because it was matches. It was Drew McIntyre beating up Ryder and Hawkins. It was Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy build towards next week, which is another thread that's going to start this week and next week. And it was Nice versus Ricochet, which is a short match, but it was fun. And Mustafa Ali this week, cutting a promo. All really, really good stuff. So even the stuff that isn't a continuation from the previous week is good shit. So I have really enjoyed both Raw and SmackDown both of these weeks, believe it or not. There's one big black mark on the WWE product right now, and we might as well talk about that first, because what do we usually start our TWitWoW reviews with anyway, my friend?
The heat of the night. So what do you want to get off your chest, bud?
Rusev, Lashley, Lana. Do I really even need to say everything?
No, you don't. Not at all.
I mean, the real positive to come out of all of this is that Rusev is an amazing babyface, and I love him.
Yeah, I'm going to be very economical about this because I feel like I've run out of ways to say how shit this all is. I feel like they're taking for granted Rusev's likability. Yeah. I feel like when you get a babyface that's really likable, very magnetic, WWE, and in a way I can't always blame them for it, but they're like, oh, they're likable, they can make anything work. And bless Rusev's heart, the stuff that he's involved in, you know, when he's on screen, he somehow manages to make it work. But God, Lana especially is awful on the mic. I have not been able to stand her promos. Literally the best promo she had was only because Kevin Owens was dressing her down on the mic after the fact and clapping back at her and just shutting that shit down. So yeah, this storyline's trash, but Rusev thankfully isn't. And you know what? Lashley doesn't even have to be either. But Lana, man, Christ, we need to go back to the drawing board with that and figure something out. That's how I feel about that.
I was just responding to Mark in chat. He said that he was here for like 5 minutes, so I wanted to get a quick message in before he had to leave. So, that being said, and yeah, I agree. Lana is truly awful on the mic, but the thing is, it's not just like with a microphone in her hands in front of a crowd or behind a camera or in front of a camera or however you want to put it. She's just bad at talking and expressing herself in general. Like We've seen, unfortunately, clips of her YouTube channel and her whole, like, salty shit that she does, and she's just fucking cringe incarnate. She's awful.
Yeah, it's really bad, fam. I'm not even going to pile on. I think you said it perfectly, and again, I've wasted enough breath on this bullshit. I honestly, Like, we were even talking tonight during SmackDown, and this is the last thing I'll say, and we were discussing the best thing to pour down my ears so I don't have to hear her fucking voice anymore. And this wedding next Monday, the last Raw of the decade. Don't own that fact, WWE. Don't you fucking be proud of this. Like, go to your goddamn room. I mean, you're starting to do a lot of things right, but seriously, go to your room and think about this one.
Yeah, and they decided that the best way to end the year, literally the 12/31 Raw, or is it 30? Actually, I think it's 30. The 12/30 Raw, the last Raw of the year, is going to feature the fucking wedding. Jesus Christ.
I know. It's terrible. So,
you know what, though? I guess it might even be, like, the final thread, because I feel like this entire angle might have been designed to lead up to a wrestling wedding, because I think Vince genuinely believes that wrestling weddings are a big draw and that it'll pop ratings. I hope it doesn't. I hope it fails miserably, and I hope that they just forget about this story and just move on with Rusev being a top babyface and Lashley maybe getting a repackage, and we can forget Lana ever existed.
I mean, that would be ideal. One thing I will say about this on a more substantive note is I don't know how these segments have been doing in the Nielsen ratings, but I know on WWE's YouTube channel they're still making out like gangbusters. So honestly,
well, that's kind of the irony, is that they do well on YouTube, but they lose viewership on TV consistently.
Right, but I think, you know what, WWE, I feel like, really, how can I put this? They really take pride in their social media game and their social media maneuvering.
They're definitely heavily invested in their YouTube numbers for sure.
So, like, this wedding's probably going to do really well for them one year. In fact, I'll even make a bold prediction here. I could see that wedding doing at least over 2 million views.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, for sure.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But is there anything in particular, like, because I know we're just going to go through each Raw. So, like, is there any segment we're starting out with?
Well, I mean, you know, the whole Lana telling Lashley to propose to her thing happened last week, and him proposing. And then this week, we got Rusev. Actually, this week we got Lashley versus Cedric Alexander, with the whole Lana interrupting, plugging the wedding, and basically telling Cedric to take it easy on Lashley. Which Cedric didn't, which was kind of, it was really weird. Like, I thought we were really going to do something there. Like, I thought, Lana was just like talking about, like, let's just have a good old fashioned Greco-Roman wrestling match. I thought that they were really going to go for something like that, because Cedric was even nodding like he knew what she was talking about. And then it just resumed like a normal match. Like, nothing changed after that moment. It was just an opportunity for Lana to just spout off words out of her face.
Yeah. A lot of words came out of that face, and none of them were pleasurable to my ears.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just, man, I feel like we were even talking about this over one session of Rocket League. It's really a shame that they did Lashley like this, because I still feel like even now there's money in a Lashley-Lesnar matchup. And they're like, okay, but hear me out. Cucking storyline. And it's like, fuck me.
It's like, why would you do that to Lashley? No, you don't understand. He's the cucker.
And it's like, this is the push I deserve. Finally, my time to shine.
But then it's like, wait, he won't actually be doing any talking. We're going to let the super cringeworthy, awful Lana do all the talking for him.
Yeah,
and frankly, I don't even want Lashley to talk either. He's not that good of a talker either. Like, even when he was in Impact, MVP was his talker.
Yeah, an MVP can actually cut a promo.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. So Cedric Lashley, and it's a shame for Cedric too. Just to kind of shift the focus a little bit, so my brain doesn't like fall out of my ear pleading for mercy. Cedric's a really talented dude. I really feel like, for me personally, he's lost a considerable amount of steam since that program with AJ. Oh, finally, I got promoted. Yes.
I didn't expect a live reaction to that live here.
I'm like, finally, my time has come. But no, I feel like he's lost considerable steam, man, from the matches with AJ.
Yeah.
Earlier this year.
Yep.
And, you know, like, I gotta tell you, I'm not the biggest Cedric fan, but I'll always go back to the fans chanting, "Please sign Cedric." We want to talk about the decade. You know, the whole "please sign Cedric" for the CWC. That was one of the most beautiful moments to me of the decade. And then him pinning AJ in Madison Square Garden earlier this year and having a beer with Stone Cold. It's like, oh man, you know, they're really putting this guy over. And now he's like fodder for this storyline. So I gotta say too, I feel bad for Cedric Alexander because it seems like WWE, and this is a good thing. Okay, I don't want to like mix articles here. It does seem like they're taking an interest in their smaller guys, or at least guys that came from 205, like Buddy Murphy, like Ali, and like Cedric.
Yeah.
But I'm just waiting for them, especially with Ali and Cedric, to have a coherent vision for these guys. And I would say even between those two, more so Cedric, because I think Ali in his mind has a clear vision of his character and like where he's going. Cedric just feels completely aimless to me right now. I mean, I don't know. Are my criticisms resonant with you? Do you feel like
no. I mean, there was that whole rumor when Cedric was feuding with AJ Styles that Vince wanted to bury Cedric. Like, I don't necessarily buy into the rumor because I think it came from fucking Brad Shepard or whatever. But, like, the fact that anyone could even see that rumor and buy into it as a legitimate possibility tells you all you need to know about the way that they have done Cedric, because they really haven't given him anything that he could sink his teeth into since the AJ feud. And even in the AJ feud, he was consistently made to look like the weaker performer out of the two.
Yeah, in fact, oh god, no. You know what? I don't want to zigzag, because you just said something about like the AJ feud that kind of made me have another thought, but it's not really related to what we're talking about here. So I'll table it for now, and maybe I'll find a way to come back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, just to keep it moving. Is there anything else you want to say about this?
Well, we did get Rusev, showing off some fan signs and popping his pecs to the tune of the Rusev Day chants, and then squashing No Way Jose and dancing with his conga line.
And again, Rusev, that was great. Again, he's got a magnetism and he's got personality, but to shift focus to the other person just a second so that we can kind of broaden the discussion just a tad. No Way Jose is another one I still stand by, and don't get me wrong, there's no train, the ship has sunk, whatever transportation you want to use. I know I don't got it. I don't think the fandom has it either, unfortunately. But I feel like No Way Jose still has a great fucking look and could probably talk. If there was one person, this is the parallel I'm going to make.
I feel like No Way Jose right now should be in like the position of like the early 2010s Kofi Kingston, where he was just like an eternal mid-carder. But, like, he came out, he had a fun match every week, he went to the back, and, like, people that liked him could enjoy him every week. But if you didn't like him, you didn't have any kind of a problem with him because he's just a too likable of a guy, and, like, he just got his TV time. You know what I mean?
And even when Kofi was an eternal mid-carder, because I do like the parallel you constructed, and I'm going to circle back to my point in a second, at least Kofi got championships out of it. Yeah. I feel like No Way Jose could be a bona fide, like, championship holder and make it believable. So what I was going to say... And
not just a 24/7 title either.
Exactly. And what I was going to say before you interjected with that parallel, if you're going to invest time in trying to repackage Mojo, which they abandoned by having him draw on his fucking face and look in a fractured mirror, like, this is a guy in Jose with his look and his charisma. You want to talk about in 2020, we're talking about, and we're going to talk about a lot of it on our year-end award show on Tuesday.
I can't wait.
Dude, I have been so proud of myself how many times I've plugged that shit. But, we talk about most anticipated, debuts or this is a feud I want. This is who I want to see become champion in 2020. If we're talking about repackaging and, like, just new gimmicks, I want to see No Way Jose repackaged in 2020. This Congo line isn't working. Hell, the whole No Way Jose vibe in general to me is no longer working. The guy has too good of a look and too good of a personality to be doing this shit. If you're not going to turn a guy like Roman heel, I'd honestly like to see a No Way Jose character, and I'm only calling him that because that's just the easiest thing to call him, that was like more heel, had a chip on his shoulder. Because I'm telling you, I still believe this guy is better than this. And it's really sad that, like, he's moved nowhere for seemingly forever. Even in NXT, I know NXT never.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe they could even move him down to NXT, have him do a heel run there, and maybe see if he can get some feet under him there.
Please, because there is something in this dude, and I would love if that actually happened, and we would have this recording for posterity and be like, "Oh, remember when John said?" I mean, I doubt it. I think again, this is just his lot in the WWE, and I think it's a damn shame because they're willing to invest more in Mojo. Like, they haven't given up on Mojo. They even had him come out, and I don't think he's going to be a part of it, obviously, but they did have him very briefly of that association with Sammy with that Kevin segment. Yeah. Like, they haven't given up feature in this dude, and it just feels like they've given up on Jose. And just in this man's opinion, that's a shame because I still see a lot of upside in that dude. So, not to
because like even if you just look at Mojo and Jose as individual performers, Mojo has seemingly put less effort into his physique. he has less charisma, he is less entertaining, but he's got connections in the NFL, so they push him instead.
And there it freaking is. So I didn't want to detract from our Lashley Rusev Lana discussion, but the thing is, I've already said like everything that I feel I can personally say about it. So I just want to take this moment and say that like I understand, you know, every company needs its jobbers and stuff like that. I am just so saddened for this man that he drew the short straw, because I do really feel like there's something there.
Right, but like rather than No Way Jose being like a JTG level jobber where he's barely ever featured, and when he is, we all know he's going to lose, or like a Kurt Hawkins level jobber, let him be like a famous B jobber where you know he's going to lose, but he's going to entertain you every damn time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, hell, I don't know what the future of No Way Jose holds, but let's say he does just stick with the WWE for just the natural run of his career. Even if the highest he would get would be a Jinder Mahal type, at least Jinder was a former United States champion, and we don't talk about that world title run. But, you know, at least he did something, and Jose could do it 100 times better. So I just want him to get more opportunities, I think, is what I'm really grasping at. But we'll see what happens. So, yeah, Rusev dominates. Again, very likable, very magnetic. And I'm fully expecting him to crash the wedding next Monday. But see, though, I'm wondering.
I don't know if he will, though, because we've got to remember, like, he literally said, like, he's excited that Bobby is going to be marrying Lana, because he said that the best punishment he could give Lashley is letting him marry Lana.
See, now I'm wondering if the workaround to this whole thing, especially because this, I can't believe I'm about to say this. The one thing I will give this storyline credit for, fuck me.
Yikes.
Oh, fuck me. I need a thumbs up for that one. Fuck. Is that is a unique approach to take. Like the babyface just saying, you know what, you can have her, instead of just like crashing the way. Because if he didn't, I would honestly like that. And one theory I have, and I'm so glad you reminded me of that. One theory I have is I wonder if Lana's going to be upset because Rusev is no longer jealous. Because she strikes me as the type, right? In character. Like, Rusev's no longer jealous. Lashley's losing his appeal.
Dude,
you know?
I was even going to say, how amazing would it be if Rusev crashed the wedding and Lana was like, Rusev, you can't do this. You can't have me back. And he was just like, I don't want you back, Lana. I'm trying to save Bob. And then, like, they do, like, a bro hug and walk out together, and Lana's just there, like, makeup running down her face, sitting on the floor with her fucking wedding dress on, just looking destroyed.
Bro, no lie. Between them having Rusev be pretty chill about it, and then on top of that, if they would pull something like that, that would actually salvage this from being the worst storyline.
I know, dude. I would have to pick a different worst storyline of the year in the 24 hours between Raw and the year-end awards that we plan on doing the literal next day.
because I would really have to legitimately, I'm being 100% serious. I would legitimately have to give them credit for kind of redefining the whole, like, you know, relationship storylines that they seem to do every couple of years. And like, they really did something different this time, if that happens. Which, I mean, dude, here's one thing. If it gives us any hope, we know that Paul Heyman's got some stroke. I don't know. Maybe he has some creative input in this, and we know how Heyman's mind works. Yeah. So dude,
it could literally all happen in that one segment too, where Rusev could show up, Lana could freak out. No, you can't get me back. Rusev says, I'm not here for you. I'm here to save Bobo from a life of misery. And then Bobby's just like, what are you talking about? And Lana's just like, what do you mean you're saving him? You're supposed to be jealous of him. You're supposed to want me back. This whole thing was just a ploy to try and get you to care about me again and give me attention. And then Bobby looks at her like, bitch.
Exactly.
And then he and Rusev walk off. Like, they do like a bro hug and they walk off, and they're just a new tag team now on Raw. And they fucking challenge the Viking Raiders and the OC and shit. And Lana's just left on her own. And maybe we can even do a storyline with her, with maybe like No Way Jose tries to seduce her. I don't know.
Yeah, man, dude. God damn it, you actually almost got me to care about this shit. I'm not going to, but you were so close, closer than the entire writing team behind this shit right now, so kudos to you.
I just love the idea of her being like, this whole thing was a ploy to get you to pay me attention again, and Bobby just gives her that look like, you gotta be fucking kidding me right now.
Yeah, dude, that would be amazing. Oh man!
Oh my god! Yeah.
All right. So what are we talking about?
Put that at number 1 on my wish list for next week's Raw.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So that covers that. At least we managed to make something that's been awful so far into something really fun.
Yes.
Go to the next sort of worst thing that's happening on Raw that apparently is not going to stop anytime soon because Vince is a fan of the dude. Eric Rowan and his little cage thing that he has. So last week, Sarah Schreiber interviewed him and he was like, "Oh, you have any family or anyone that you care about and you want to protect? Well, mind your own business." Like that was the whole thing. He was basically implying like this creature that's in this cage is somebody that he really is a thing that he really cares about and wants to protect. And then he had a match with a guy named Dante Leon or Dante Leon. I'm guessing it's Leon. And the dude like snuck out of the ring, and then Rowan chased him, but he slid under the ring and went over and went to try and peek under the cage, but he's never even got to lift like the cloth that's over the cage. Because Eric started like stalking him, and then he tried to run away, but he tripped like it was a fucking slasher movie, and then Rowan beat him. And then this week we have like this creepy ass like first person perspective from the creature in the cage, seeing Rowan's big old ugly mug stalking, like looking in on him, talking about how I've got to go take care of some business right now, but after that I'll make sure that you get fed and all that shit. And then he had a match against a dude named Travis Horn, who's this bald, tatted up, creepy fucker with stars around his nipples, and he was offering Rowan candy canes, and then he went to offer the creature in the cage candy canes, and then Rowan caught up to him and destroyed him. So that was that whole thing. And then the Street Profits came on and they talked about the wedding a little bit, but then they did end up talking about whatever the thing is that's in the cage, and they were like, is it a squirrel? It could be a rabbit. It could be a Komodo dragon. And Dawkins just like, oh man, you never know. That thing could breathe fire on you whenever. And then, Montez was just like, no, Komodo dragons aren't like Game of Thrones dragons. And then they did the whole we want the smoke thing. So Eric Rowan somehow got tied into the Street Profits. I don't know how, but what do we think of Eric Rowan?
Oh, I'm so glad that was the question you led with. Because here's the thing. I don't hate Eric Rowan, if you want me to be truthful. When I think about all the things he's done over the years, probably the most curious I was about him in a positive way, which then, of course, went to shit at tables, ladders, chairs, and stairs, was when he was like that gimmick of like, John Cena or the fans or whatever. Yeah, like standing up to bullies, looking at my own life and like being my own person. Like that was curious stuff. I even like the stuff he did with Brian, and of course you could forget lower your tone, Mike. Like it's good shit. Like Rowan is that weird case for me, and I'm being 100% sincere, and I wish Ella was here because she'd probably be loving this right now, where like he's that guilty pleasure for me. Like I know he's probably not going to go anywhere. He doesn't like have any upward mobility, or and I'll get to that, or so I would think. But I enjoy him for what it is. But this particular gimmick, I don't get it. Like it's not resonating with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the whole thing is meant to just be like it's the surprise box. Like it's trying to build up the anticipation for the reveal of whatever's in that cage.
And I understand that. I understand that. I can appreciate that on its merits. And maybe I'm sounding very snobbish right now, and maybe even borderline an asshole, and maybe I'm not staying in my lane right now. But it feels kind of 80s to me, but not even necessarily in a good way, because I don't think like.
Are you thinking like gobbledygooker?
Well, no. Because it's like I'm probably articulating this horribly, and this is not going to be a soundbite I'm proud of, but I'm going to try and stumble through this. I feel like when I think about the whole mystery and insidious creatures and dangerous creatures, like my mind immediately goes to a Jake Roberts with Damien in the bag. But like Rowan doesn't have that charisma, right? Because here's the thing, I'm not even opposed, if you want the truth, guys, I'm not even opposed to the gimmick in and of itself, because I honestly feel like I am a believer in what is old is new again. And I do feel like a Jake Roberts type gimmick, we're like, what's that creature? What's in the bag? But there are two things about that. One, Jake Roberts, I don't care what anybody says, one of the greatest promos ever, just for his speaking style, had like an untouchable charisma for his time period, and that's why Hulk Hogan was.
He was a fucking genius on the mic.
Yeah, and like
even that promo that he cut on that terrible wrestling show, Heroes of Wrestling, where he was drunk as shit, that even was more comprehensive and had more of like an intimidating story behind it than most promos that have ever been cut in wrestling.
Exactly. And as Jake Roberts himself said, you shouldn't be so worried about the snake in the bag. You should be more worried about the snake in the ring. And, like, I think about Rowan with this trench, and I'm sorry, like, Rowan has a menacing quality to a point, but, like, I think what really makes gimmicks like this memorable is when you take menace and you synthesize it with charisma. And Rowan just, and again, I'm going to sound like such an asshole, but I don't think he has the talent to pull that off. I just don't.
See, and the thing that's interesting to me is, like, is it really gonna be some like sinister? Like when I first saw this whole shtick that they're doing, I thought, oh, it's like a tarantula. But I almost feel like the cage is too big for that too. So I don't know. But now I'm thinking like, what if rather than going for like this sinister, terrifying animal that people could be afraid of, what if they subvert that and it's like it legitimately is just like this adorable like puppy or kitty cat or bunny or something like that?
That would be more in line with the Rowan gimmicks that I've kind of gravitated towards.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be so weird. Like, that's
and then it would almost be like, you would almost want to go back to be like, were there any hints that were dropped that it was that? Because, like, and then going back and rewatching some of the shit, you would get even more creeped out because this poor little, like, adorable animal will have had to just sit in its cage and watch this creepy ass mug just glowing, you know, glaring at it and talking about, you know, making sure that it gets fed and shit. Like, yeah, it's, I don't know. I agree with you that you need to have a certain level of charisma to really pull off the menacing factor that this story should need in order for it to work. But we don't know if they're going for menacing or if Rowan is just really protective over a pet.
And you're absolutely right about that. That is definitely a fair counterpoint to my concerns. I would say too, because I did want to touch on this. I'm hearing rumors, and you know, guys, whenever we do commentaries like this, I always say take every rumor with a grain of salt. I just enjoy it more for the conversational value. That's really why I even bring this shit up. That Vince is high on Rowan,
yes,
and he would maybe like to see him face Brock.
Oh, what?
And, well, yeah, he's looking at Rowan as, like, potentially a main event guy. And
Jesus
that's something
Christ.
that scares me because, I mean, I believe it. You know, I believe that he believes it is really what I'm trying to say. And to me, the whole, like, what's hiding in that cage, like, what's being covered up, it would be so cool if it was this cute thing and it's just Rowan having this empathetic, sensitive side that he doesn't know how to express. Like, see, I don't know. And again, I will say, too, just to take a few steps back, this is a product of me being spoiled by Lucha Underground and how they do narratives. Because I'm like, that would be a really interesting take on a great... And plus, can I just say, too, and I guess it's only a problem for me because you're mentioning now that they're adopting continuity with these, you know, latest shows. How do we go from him being the intellectual peer of Brian to this? Like, I think that's another thing. I think I can't reconcile, even though I know WWE's never been about that. So I guess in a way it's not fair to hold that against them when those were never the rules of the game. But my mind, right, is trying to fill in the blanks between you running with this guy and now you coming upon that. Like, what's the story there?
I see.
And, you know, again, that's not their fault. I'll take the L on that one, you know, because I just fair is fair. But I don't see him as a main event guy. Now, maybe it could even work, although I think it would be a bit cheesy, but I think wrestling's best when it leans into the cheese, honestly. If it was like a severed head in there or something of somebody that he loved and was dear to, and maybe like he hurt them, but now like he's really like overly protective of this head because he was just so traumatized about what he did. So they're either going to go one extreme end of the pole, like complete psycho, almost like a Norma Bates kind of dynamic, or it's going to be that more fascinating. Like you said, it's going to be something genuinely endearing, genuinely provocative of the emotions, of the more tender emotions, and he just doesn't know how to express that in a healthy way. So he's kind of like this tragic baby face in a way. It's weird. It's really weird, but I would dig it. I would dig it. I just don't know what's going on right now. And to circle all the way back around, just to show everybody I didn't lose the thread, as far as the Street Profits getting involved, it's about time because I feel like Rowan needs his competition upped a bit. And I will say, while they'll probably do the Dawkins match second because it'll be more of a Haas fight, I'm really looking forward to Montez Ford showing off his athleticism against like a more monster type character. So that should be a fun matchup if it happens.
I mean, that's the question though, right? Is will the Street Profits, having spoken about Rowan and his whatever is in the cage, lead to him going after them. You know, like, I don't know if it'll actually lead to anything or if it's just them plugging shit again.
I think Smart Money, brother, if I'm truthful, would err on them just doing the recapping stuff and just talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with Rowan, it's kind of like a case of object permanent. Like if you're in front of me, you get destroyed. If you're not in front of me, I don't even know you exist.
Yeah.
So yeah that's kind of where I feel like it's at right now.
All right, well, that's a pretty smooth point for us to move on. Then let's talk about Liv Morgan. She's gotten 2 vignettes.
Yes.
She got one last week that was, she talked about how one day she woke up and reflected on the girl she'd been, where she was, where she wasn't. That girl who had let her friends tell her what to do and who to be and how to act, how to dress. All she ever wanted was to be comfortable in her own skin, and she's always been so self-destructive, but now she has no choice. She has to destroy herself so that the real her can emerge. And then this week she said, when you seek affirmation from someone other than yourself, you give that person all your power. I've done that before. I was young, I was impressionable. So typical. It's up to me to decide who I am, and I'm anything but typical. So those are the 2 vignettes that we've gotten. Last week, she was getting into a tub. This week, she was just at a mirror. And she did look directly into the camera to close out this one. So I'm very curious where they're going with this. This is to me, this is a greater mystery box than Rowan's cage, because this is really like, what are they going with this character? And more importantly, almost, than where they're going with the character, when are we actually going to see her get in the ring?
Brother, when I tell you, I'm so happy we're talking about this. Like, this is the first thing tonight in this catch-up commentary that we're talking about that I'm really hyped about. And I'm happy that you and I in particular are talking about this one, because we're the best wrestling podcast on the web today. But also, more sincerely, it's just I know that you and I have a different takeaway than some people seem to be having, because I know you and I talked about this. I saw some takes on Twitter where people are like, oh, great, Emelina 2.0. And I know you and I have not gotten those vibes at all. I feel like this is far more sinister than any Emelina crap, because the music, the narration, like nothing about that from a tone standpoint is indicative at all of a gimmick like the Emelina gimmick was, where it's just like, I'm so beautiful and this and that. And, I just feel like, again, this is something far more insidious than that. And I am so fucking here for it. I feel like you for a while, even more than me, like you've spoken about the merits of, Liv Morgan in ring and just like as well, and
I'll tell you why, brother. I'll tell you exactly why. It's because she might be the best bumper and seller on the roster, not named Sasha Banks.
Yeah. Yeah. So like the only reason I did kind of that segue for you is I know like you even more so than me. Like now I really feel like I'm on the bandwagon now. But how do you, as somebody that's kind of seen Liv's value early on, how do you feel about everything going on here? I want more your thoughts than my own right now. How
the thing that worries about me with the Emelina comparisons is that it will kind of allow WWE to take liberties the way they did with Emelina, because remember, Emelina had vignettes airing for 17 fucking weeks before she actually came out, and then she came out to say haha JK, and then she went away for another month before she came back. Not even Emelina anymore. So that was the biggest disaster that I've seen WWE as far as them trying to build up an act goes in a long time, and arguably since like fucking, what was the guy's name that was supposed to be the Undertaker opponent? It was like Vade Hansen or whatever it was.
Yeah.
They went so far out of their way to make sure that those promos aired every Monday, and it lasted 4 months, and then she came out and was just like, ha, just kidding, I'm not actually this now. And then, we just went back to Evil Emma, which, like, I didn't have a problem with that because I loved Evil Emma. But here I was thinking, like, holy shit, like, if she really sinks her teeth into this gimmick, she could literally be the next, like, Trish Stratus, except a better worker. And then I guess she just wasn't comfortable with it. So they just kind of, backpedaled and just decided to just bring her back as Evil Emma a month later. So that is what scares me about the Liv Morgan thing is the when. Like that, and that's why I fucking hate it when WWE does the whole coming soon shit, because give me a goddamn date. Give me a number, give me an estimate, give me a fucking Chris Jericho countdown clock for all I care. Tell me when we're getting this. I hate the ambiguity.
Yeah. I totally understand that, man, because
they've been doing it with Sheamus for weeks now too.
Yeah, and we'll get to him because I have stuff to say about that too. But yeah, I hope they don't botch this, man, because I was even telling you, and look, I just want to make perfectly clear, because I know nothing will start like a fucking war on my timeline than a no comment here. I have got no problem with 3 of the 4 horsewomen. Fuck Charlotte Flair. Like, all the fuck yous I gave to Momo Watanabe, let's just transfer those over to Charlotte's account just to make up for lost time.
Yeah, I can dig that.
Yeah, because fuck Charlotte Flair again. I want new blood. And what really excites me about Liv in particular is it seems like she's going to be a genuine character. Like, I know, like, Becky and Sasha and Bayley, like, they all have characters, and they're good ones. It's not that they're bad, but I'm talking, like, character with a capital C, because it just feels like with the man, the boss, and stuff like that, there are more mindsets that are just executed very well. But I feel like, again, that there's going to be almost like a darkness to however Liv Morgan returns, and I hope it actually is more similar to The Fiend than, say, like, just another 4 horsewoman thing where, oh, it's just a mindset that I do really well.
Or like an Ember Moon or an Asuka, like that
exactly.
over-the-top actual character.
Exactly. Like, I want a legitimate female character in this fucking division.
I want an entrance with bells and whistles. I want a new moveset, or at least an evolved moveset. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like a fucking, like the difference between, 2005 Matt Hardy and Woken Matt Hardy. Like that kind of evolution to the character.
Exactly, Ashton, exactly. And I feel like if that is what Liv is bringing to the table, I'm sorry, maybe 2020 should be her year. And maybe she should be in discussions depending on how well it goes. I would love to see her in the ring with Becky. I would love to see her in the ring with the big time people. Hell, as much as I hate her from the in-ring perspective, and I've still got sour grapes from TLC and everything else, just program-wise, because Charlotte was the last person to beat Liv before she went away, for this Liv to get in a program with Charlotte and for her to go over, and it would be nice if Charlotte fucking sold something for a change, I think could do a lot for her credibility. We need... I don't want to necessarily say we need fresh blood, because, again, all the women I mentioned, sans Charlotte Flair, are incredibly talented and they've earned their spots. But, you got to keep the motor running.
Yeah.
And I feel like Liv...
And from what I remember, too, I think Liv, like, the last time that we saw her with any level of consistency, the finisher that she was using was Bobby Tyler's, like, rope-hung flatliner that she does.
Yeah.
So I wonder if she'll keep that. But I almost feel like if she would use that, it would almost make people believe even more that she belongs with Bray, because Bray does the Sister Abigail, and that's a version of a flatliner, too.
Right. However it all goes down, I just hope WWE executes it well. I actually trust Liv Morgan personally with this completely, as far as like committing to it completely. And but I'm willing to give it a chance. But I think her social.
I trust her to commit to it completely, but I don't necessarily think she's got like creative control like Bray.
Well, no, I didn't mean like that. I'm just saying like whatever it is, she's going to put her back into it.
Oh yeah,
I just hope the WWE does right by her.
Okay, that I do agree with you then.
Yeah, because I feel like her social media game with it has been on point. It's definitely gotten me intrigued. I know the internet at the time was in an uproar where she posted that video of her cutting her hair, and stuff like that. Like, she's played the game very well, and I would really like to see her succeed, because how cool would it be, say, like 3 or 4 months from now, we're doing a preview and predictions for whatever pay-per-view, and we see that Liv Morgan's challenging for the women's championship. I just feel like that'd be fucking awesome. Yeah, there you go. I just feel like it'd be freaking amazing.
That seems like a Fastlane match, doesn't it? Liv Morgan challenging Becky for the title.
Yeah.
That's got Fastlane written all over it.
Definitely. All right. That's all I've got to say. Is there anything else you want to add to the whole Liv Morgan discussion?
No. Let's move on. Viking Raiders go out for a match with the OC. Goes almost 20 minutes. OC win clean. And then later on in the night, they cut a little promo. AJ Styles is there, talks about how he'll take care of Randy Orton and see him in the winner's circle later that night. And guess what? He didn't, because Orton beat AJ that night with an RKO counter to the phenomenal forearm. And then the OC came out to attack Orton, but the Viking Raiders came out to make the save, because they might not care about saving Orton, but they do care about beating the shit out of the OC. And then this week, we got a 6-man tag. Orton and the Viking Raiders versus the OC, all 3 members, and AJ got his win back. He pinned Orton with a phenomenal forearm.
Yeah. Renewing this rivalry, it's an interesting choice. Don't necessarily know how I feel about it. I guess it's fine for both of them to do for the time being. But you know, it is what it is. I did like that sequence, the Raw where Orton got the win. You know, with AJ first like seeing it coming, and then he goes for it anyway, and then Orton still gets him. It's like, oh, Alan. So they definitely, I feel like they have good chemistry with each other. You know, it's decent enough.
I feel like they have better chemistry with each other than AJ has with Kevin Owens.
I would certainly agree with that. I just wish the OC felt like they mattered, despite calling themselves the only club that matters, because they don't. You know, and again, like,
well, the WWE's trying to make them feel like they matter by just having them beat their own tag team champions pretty much every week. But God, their matches are just so uneventful and boring without Anderson having the gun stun in his arsenal.
Yeah.
They should have a match. Since we're already doing this program, they should have a match where if the OC beats Randy Orton, he's not allowed to use the RKO anymore, and they get to use it. So
that would be amazing.
Gun stun again. That would be fucking incredible.
Like, how can I put this? Because, like, I don't know. Just Gallows and Anderson don't feel like the tag team that they did in New Japan, where they were a real force and, you know, dominant. And AJ, again, I know you can't always be on top, and AJ did not too long ago have that long run with the WWE Championship and this and that. But it just, I don't know.
Are we far enough separated from that you're kind of aching to see AJ in the main event again?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm alone in that, brother, but that's how I feel. AJ just kind of feels unimportant to me right now a little bit, and that's weird. Because like even the U.S. title reign, like I'm sorry, like I don't know how I feel about how it ended. Because I would have rather just somebody just beat him clean straight up on their own merits, not Orton getting involved so we can immediately segue into a feud. I appreciate the effort, you know, to keep everything going. I just don't know if I agree with it personally. So again, I think that comes down more to my personal taste than, oh God, this was so horrendous. Like, this is just genuinely how I would have done it, you know, instead, kind of thing. But yeah, AJ just kind of feels unimportant to me right now.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. You know what though? But see, that wouldn't even work because AJ is a heel and Orton's a face. I don't know if I want to see Orton facing Brock again, because I was going to say they could have a match culminate, like winner faces Brock maybe at the Royal Rumble. But I don't know. I don't know how you get AJ. Yeah, I don't like it either, honestly, upon further reflection. Because, again, like, you either get Orton versus Brock, and I don't want to see that again after what happened the last time they got in the ring, or you'd get AJ versus Brock, which would make no goddamn sense.
Remember that time when the WWE actually did Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar, and at no point did we ever get the F5 counted into an RKO?
Yeah, total waste. Total fucking waste.
Hell.
Yeah. So
they're probably thinking, too, like, guys, don't do the counter spot. We're saving it for your next feud.
Oh God. So yeah, I don't know how you make to me. I don't know how many people listening, because I know we got a few live viewers, or you for that matter. I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but I just don't know how you make AJ feel important right now, because he just isn't for me at the moment. But anything else you want to add?
I think he'll feel more important when he turns face again.
Yeah, probably.
That'll probably be what it takes. I don't know.
But he is such a good heel, though. That's kind of a shame,
great
you know?
heel, without a doubt. But yeah,
yeah.
Him as a heel, he feels like a member of the OC. Him as a face feels like the phenomenal one.
Yes.
So, next up, let's talk about women on Raw. They literally, like, there have only been 3 women really getting featured on Raw: Asuka, Becky, and Charlotte. So let's talk about all 3 of them. First, let's talk about last week when Asuka got a match with Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna got a video package, and we got a really fun sort of submission-heavy match with lots of counters and transitions and stuff. Deonna did have her Fujiwara locked in at one point, but Asuka countered it, and then Asuka would go on to win with the Asuka lock.
Yeah, really cool seeing Deonna on Raw. I really like that. It was cool seeing Asuka in singles. I just wish it was under better circumstances. And they had a solid match. It was really cool, too, to see Deonna not get immediately squashed. Yeah. And for her to actually be able to show kind of her technical prowess, which, God, I want her more promoted on NXT, because I really think that if she was, and I got a chance to know her on NXT, she'd probably make a future Fave 5.
She's kind of almost like in that like pre-heel turn Dakota Kai status for you, isn't she?
Yeah, exactly.
Or like you want to like her because like you hear about how good she is from a lot of people that you trust, but you just haven't quite seen it yet.
Exactly, because I know on the Women's Wrestling Revolution shows where she was like really kind of one of the bigger people there. Yeah. She was always really good to me. It's just like,
didn't she beat Meiko Satomura in one of the shows that we reacted to?
I feel like she did.
Yeah,
and like
wow.
Given that I believe that nobody should fuck with Meiko, I mean that's big shit. But the thing is, we were just talking about distance earlier with AJ. Like, oh, am I distance enough from that big WWE title reign that I'm ready to see him in the main event again? I said yes. And I feel like we as a collective, you and I, are so distanced from that Women's Wrestling Revolution coverage that we used to give that I'm ready to reacquaint myself with Deonna Purrazzo again. And this match was a start, but I want more, and I want more on her turf, that being NXT.
Oh, you know what, dude? It wasn't Meiko that she beat. It was Kong. It was Awesome Kong that she beat.
That's right. Because yeah, I mean, it looked solid. You know, the match. She looked great. I just want to see more of that. I would love to see her as this, like, I know we really just got that with Shayna, but I'd love to see her as kind of like this technical savant that's, you know, a heel and just vying for that.
I think the difference as far as like nuances go, I think the biggest difference between the sort of ideal heel Deonna Purrazzo character and Shayna is that Deonna would be much more like an entitled, spoiled brat type, where she's just like, I'm the best. I know I can beat anyone. If I ever lose, it's because I beat myself. And like Shayna did beat it sometimes, but she was always more of a bully. I don't think Deonna would come off as a bully. Maybe VXT as a trio could be bullies, but not necessarily in the same way that Shayna was, where she would physically dominate people. It would be more of like a Mean Girls style heel faction.
Yes. I'm totally vibing with all of that. So just to circle back around, it was really cool to see her in the ring with Asuka. Again, seeing Asuka, she's amazing. Just wish it was singles under better circumstances, because I know Kairi's dealing with her stuff.
Yeah, I was even going to say, I really hope that Kairi is able to return at least in time to be in the Women's Rumble this year, because I'd love to be able to say that she's been in all three so far.
Oh, yeah, dude. You and me both. I mean, you know, obviously I knew it wasn't going to happen whether or not she was healthy, but, you know, Kairi Mania has been the big thing for our fandom this year, going into 2020, so I'd hate to see that come to an abrupt halt. Yeah. But, yeah, we'll see what happens, but great to see Deonna getting that shine. And then you mentioning Charlotte and Chelsea Green.
Well, no, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. That's actually the last thing that we're going to cover in this little segment here.
Oh, okay, because I noticed you mentioned, like, all three, so I didn't mean to jump around. So, go ahead. What was next?
Well, yeah, the reason that we're kind of saving off on that is because we're still talking about last week's Raw, and on last week's Raw was when we got the really cool interview with Becky, where she talks about how, you know, she was in the tag division and she thought that it was a burial, but it turned out that, you know, she realized that it was actually the powers that be trying to protect her, and then she called out, you know, talking about how she's the golden goose and they're trying to protect her because they don't think that she can beat Asuka. And so she calls Asuka the best in the world and challenges her. And then this week, she came out and cut another promo calling out Asuka. Asuka does a little Japanese promo and then says, Asuka, 2 belts. And Becky says, oh, you want to be Asuka 2 belts? So if it's going to take me putting this on the line to get you in this ring again, you've got it anytime, anywhere. And then she says, and in case you don't understand that, I'll say it in words that you can't understand. And then she says something in Japanese. So really cool little thing there between Asuka and Becky, and I'm very excited about their rematch 1 year later.
Bro, I loved everything about this, and I'll tell you why. Yeah. Working backwards from the promo and just kind of working our way back up. First of all, the promo was great. See, I just got to be honest, because you know I was starting to cool off on Becky a little bit, but this is why people remain hot for her all this time later, because this is exactly what I've wanted for, and they're starting to do it a little bit with Roman, and we were just saying it. What's that one word I love to use with top faces? Vulnerability. She was vulnerable here. She laid herself, she prostrated herself before Asuka, saying, look, I know normally my whole thing is, you know, this division needs me or this opponent needs me. This time I need you. I love that.
She humbled herself in front of the world.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing. Not only did she humble herself, there was another thing she did in that promo that I thought was so clever, and I wish we would do this more. she acknowledges that the system is behind her now. And now this time, the problem with that relationship is they're trying to protect her from the fights that she wants. So she's no longer saying she's the underdog fighting the system. She's saying, no, I've been assimilated into the system and it's suffocating because the people that I want to fight, the company's like, no, Becky, we're making too much money with you. You can't fight someone. That is
it's so funny that we're doing this 1 year after the fact, because I feel like this is the most that I've liked Becky as a character in the last year.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it was a master stroke. Because again, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to front and be like, oh, I've loved Becky the whole time. No, I definitely had my cooling down period where I'm like, okay, she's had her run. She deserved it. She worked her ass off for it. Time for the next thing. But this is why the run is continuing, because this was genuinely great shit. Yep. Asuka. And can I just say, that's the third thing I liked. Becky did so much good here in this one promo. Oh, my God. She made Asuka feel important. And I'm not saying that WWE hasn't. I actually feel like Kabuki Warriors as heels and like all the stuff they've been doing, it's definitely been building Asuka back up. But holy fuck, like the way Becky talked about Asuka, you would feel like she still has her undefeated streak, you know? And like, I love that. I love that because Becky understands, and it goes all the way back to that advice that Chris Jericho gave, which I may not like the dad bod, but he does have a good mind for the business. Where
and so does Becky.
And so does Becky. Where if I'm tearing you down, and then I go and I beat a nobody. But if I praise you and I say, you know what, I am going to beat you, but, and then, you know, you list all the accolades and you build your opponent up, and then you go and you actually do beat them, you just beat somebody that you yourself said is the best in the world. So, like, the fucking intelligence, like, this woman is so strong in her spot. All the respect to Becky right now. And Asuka, I mean, you just want to talk about a pro that just does it, that just knows, like, how the game is played. It was amazing. The whole Asuka 2 belts. She's got that likability. Didn't you even use the phrase? I don't know if it was what commentary it was, but I could swear it was you that used the phrase that Asuka's got like that forever over. Like people will never completely turn on her. That was you. And you see it here again. Like people just like seeing Asuka.
That might have even been during our TLC reactions, bro.
I think it was because I knew it was fresh, and that was the freshest commentary we did. Related to WWE. Yeah. Because people just like Asuka's gonna Asuka, and people love to see it. You know, that's why I think her YouTube channel's been so successful. These days, she's just got that personality. Kana-chan TV. She's just got that personality, and again, just to circle all the way back around to your point, this is the rematch I've been waiting for. 1 year in the fucking making. Like. Honestly, between Becky's promo, knowing that she's going to show up in the ring, knowing that Asuka just exists because she's just that fucking good, this honestly, maybe even more than Bryan Fiend as it stands right now, which I know I kind of jumped the gun there, but we will get to it, is probably my most anticipated match for the Rumble that isn't a Rumble match itself. Yeah. Like, this is going to be so good, dude. I'm hyped as hell for this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm with you as far as Becky Asuka being probably my most hyped non-Rumble match. Agree. Yes.
Absolutely. So what came after this?
Then we get to Chelsea Green's Raw debut. She had a match against Charlotte Flair, and I like Deonna Purrazzo. You know that. I'm a fan of hers. I really want to see her as like that like asshole like Marty Scurll, which is funny because I think they're actually dating level like heel. That's like all about like the joint manipulation and like submissions and shit. Chelsea Green outshined Charlotte Flair in this match and Deonna as far as debuts go. I think Chelsea Green had an amazing Raw debut. She was great.
Oh, brother, the reason why I kind of jumped the gun on this, I actually pulled up a video and I kept it muted while you were talking, but I was like watching Chelsea and kind of studying her, and her stuff looked really good against Charlotte.
Yeah.
Sold great and everything else. Guys, Chelsea Green's another one that, like, I'll admit, and I got to give credit to Jackie here, because I know Jackie was on the Chelsea Green train for a long time because she loved Hot Mess Van Ness. And even if that character wasn't my cup of tea, what I appreciated about Chelsea Green is ironically the same thing that I'm hoping for with Liv Morgan. Chelsea Green really played a character and she was really animated. And again, like, I think wrestling is at its best when it stops trying to be a sport, especially when you can't do it well. Like, not everybody can be New Japan, nor should you be. And you lean into the cheese. And the idea that Chelsea not only does that, but does it with such gusto, really puts her back into it. It's great. I don't even need to say Reclusa from Lucha Underground. That was fucking amazing. I loved it. I wanted to see more of it. And just seeing
best
her
intergender match that I've ever seen, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, dude, she's got it, man. She's got it. And seeing her work with Charlotte and actually making Charlotte look decent, because Lord knows you can't count on the woman to do it herself.
Yeah. Apologies about the alarm going off, by the way.
It's all right. It's all right. They know how we do. But yeah, it's just I really like Chelsea and Deonna as prospects. I want them, when we think about the waves of each division, like, oh, these new tag teams coming in for the tag division, heavyweights for NXT Championship, and of course, my personal favorite, the women, because that division through all these years, it's always the one that fascinates me and captivates me the most. I want Chelsea and Deonna to be two of the leaders of the new guard coming in now that Shayna seemingly is going to be phased out, and we know Bianca's still there and Io's still there, but you never know when they're going to be phased out.
And Rhea and
Mia, and so a lot of this current guard is still there, and I don't deny that. But I really would like to see Chelsea and Deonna, asserting themselves, because Chelsea looked great here against Charlotte, and that's hard to do.
I honestly one of the features that I never really kind of processed of Chelsea Green is that she's tall. I really never realized how tall she was until she was in the ring across from Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte's chops actually looked decent against Chelsea Green. I normally fucking hate Charlotte's chops because she always does it to people that are smaller than her. And when you're going against someone that's smaller than you, you shouldn't be doing knife edge chops. You should be doing overhead chops, because knife edge chops look like shit when you're going against someone smaller. But against Chelsea, great. Chelsea sold them great. They looked natural. It looked normal. It looked good.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you 100%. And I've really got nothing to add. So unless you do, we can move on.
I just loved Chelsea's ring acumen here, man. She got in the ring, Charlotte, they did some lockups. There was a moment where Chelsea thought that she had the upper hand, and Charlotte turned it around and put her in the corner. There was another moment where she had her in a hammer lock, and Chelsea quick scrambled to the ropes. And as soon as she touched the ropes, she told the ref, "Get her off me!" She did some really good stuff. She did a curb stomp. She stomped Charlotte's face into the middle turnbuckle, trying to take that shortcut to get an easy win. Chelsea really knocked it out of the park. I think that she had one of my favorite Raw debuts from anyone in a long, long time. Probably since Ricochet, I would say, actually.
Yeah, it was a great debut, man. I'm really happy for her.
Yeah. The reason I think that I'm going on and on about her is because I have never really considered myself a fan of hers. I've never really been one to go out of my way to be guys, you need to check out Chelsea Green. She's awesome. She was great in Lucha Underground. Her Reclusa, her work as Reclusa was awesome. And I still to this day think her match with Pentagon might be the best intergender match I've ever seen. But again, I never really called myself, or I never would have called myself a fan of hers until now. That match made me a fan of hers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, totally. And I love that. I love that. And I hope she's able, that newfound fandom that you.
Yeah, I was going to say that match earned her a spot in my NXT Fave 5 honorable mention.
Yeah, and I hope she can get the chance to carry that momentum, and who knows?
Maybe even land on the list.
I think she can. I think she has all the ability to, for both of us, really. Yeah. Undeniable.
All right, so now let's talk about the biggest overarching story on Monday Night Raw, involving so many different players. It's kind of amazing. It's an entire web. We've got some Game of Thrones type shit going on Raw. Seth Rollins and the Authors of Pain, Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio, Andrade, Humberto Carrillo, and then as more of a tangent, the U.S. title challengers R-Truth and Tozawa, and Matt Hardy was involved in the gauntlet, and then someone else. Who else was there? That might have been it, actually. But still, there's a lot of people that are all kind of intertwined, and really the core of it is Seth, Ray, and Kevin. Those three are the core of it, but they might have gotten someone else involved. But let's just start from the beginning. So on the 12/16 Raw, Seth opened the show, brought out AOP, called them the first two that have decided to be on the right side of history, and then talking about, everyone used to always say I'm the future. I don't know what changed. That's precisely why we hate you now, Seth. But then he says, being a leader isn't about doing what's popular. It's about doing what's right for progress, which to me sounded like he was tangentially saying it's about doing what's best for business. So feels like the authority all over again. But then he said, if you resist, the AOP will enforce my will. And after that, Samoa Joe did a really great job putting over how dangerous the AOP are on commentary, which I only bring up because Joe ended up actually getting involved in this whole thing. But then later in the night, Charlie Caruso interviewed Andrade and Zelina Vega, and Andrade said in Spanish that Carrillo has only been lucky, and nobody will take his opportunity away from him. And then Zelina, which, I mean, dude, this promo on Carrillo and on Charlie, kind of, by Zelina was fire. One of the best promos that we've seen in a little while. She tells Charlie, you might want to roll the R's for Andrade, too. And then Zelina and Andrade, she talked about how they take Carrillo seriously now. Like, him beating Andrade was the best thing that's ever happened to him, but it's also the worst thing because now they take him seriously. So now maybe she'll wear high heels so that he can hear her footsteps on the concrete as she approaches him and has time to repent. Oh my God!
Jesus Christ.
I know, dude! It was so good. I loved this promo from her.
Yeah, that's some intense fire right there. Yeah, that was great. And just to kind of go back to Seth for just a second, just to kind of take the ball there. I will say I've been thinking about it. I mean, first of all, Seth feels so much more comfortable now as a heel, given that he does not know how to use Twitter at all.
It's amazing how much of an improvement this heel turn has done for his character. Because, like, it was like an alien wearing a human skin when he was a babyface. Like, he just didn't know how to move, how to act, how to just be. Like, he didn't know how to exist in a way that would get people to like him. He just couldn't figure that shit out. And now he's back to being a heel and we fucking love him again.
Yeah, dude, the funny thing is, there is, like, a subtle stroke of genius to, like, both of his heel turns. Because the first one was just him again, you know, betraying the Shield, stabbing them in the back. So he genuinely turned on the people. And then now this time, in Seth's mind at least, I didn't turn on you this time, you turned on me. So both of his heel turns, you know, kind of are predicated upon this strained relationship with the audience, or an altered relationship with the audience. You know, for the first time again because he broke up a beloved faction. The second time because he doesn't know how to use Twitter. So I mean, not as much drama as the first one, but you know, it's whatever.
Is there a better reason for a babyface to turn heel than doesn't know how to use Twitter?
In this day and age, it's the most compelling reason. 240 characters is too much. God, dude, what am I gonna do?
280 even.
Oh yeah, that's right. It is 280. Oh God, I can't do this. You expect me to take that many steps without the foot going in the mouth? Fuck this. But yeah, God, and Javaris is again on Seth's fucking head today. I think Javaris hates Seth Rollins like I hate Caillou. It's like the only way we'll like them is if they're on a shuttle pod hurtling towards the fucking sun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I dig it, and honestly, I'm really glad that I haven't fallen out of favor with the AOP yet. Because I love the vignettes, and I honestly love that they're doing this. I mean, granted, it's funny that Seth can never be alone. You know, he's in another group now.
Yeah, he's just like reinforced himself now with like his own new little like, oh, I don't have the Shield anymore, but I can still have backup.
I know you know about this because I shared with you the Adam Cole one, and I've kind of checked out a few of the other ones, but like that therapy segment with that Rachel Bonnet, I guess that's the name of the therapist. Yeah. I'd love for Seth to do one of those. So Seth.
Oh, Rachel Bonetta, by the way.
Rachel Bonetta, that's what it is. And then Rachel's just like, you know, Seth, I notice you have this proclivity to just always surround yourself with people. What is it about being alone that disturbs you so much? And it just does this whole thing. Because I swear there's like some psychological
dude, they actually did one with him.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, but like the whole shtick was that Rachel has a crush on him and wants to be with him.
Oh, that's a waste.
Yeah, no, yeah, because they did this whole shtick where, you know, she was like talking to him and he just said like, you know, sometimes I wonder, maybe I don't even know myself. And she was just like, wow, you are so deep. And then there was a point that she was just like, oh, by the way, God, I hate to even do this, but we have to talk about your relationship. And he was like, oh yeah, it's great. And she's just like, okay, great, let's move on. Like there was this paused the whole thing. And then like he was ready to leave and she was like, no, please stay.
God, it's like transference in reverse. What the fuck is this? I personally feel like it was a way. I would have preferred them to do.
You can tell they filmed all of these like a couple months ago when SmackDown wasn't fully on Fox yet, and they were still kind of preparing for like the new season, quote unquote. Because, because Bailey was still a hugger and Seth was still beloved, and they were trying to make him seem like a stud and all that shit.
Yeah,
because they did one with Bailey too, and she was all about the hugs.
Yeah, I did see that one. I didn't know they did one with Seth.
They did one with Seth, Bailey, Kevin Owens, Adam Cole. That's all I can think of right now that they've done. But yeah, they've done at least those 4, if not more.
But yeah, Seth's doing great stuff.
Because there was one where I think it actually was the Bailey one where she was like, she had like some kind of like stuffed something or other, and Bailey was like looking at it like she wanted to hug it, and she was just like, no, this is Alexa's. So I'm wondering if they did one with Bliss too.
Yeah, maybe. Regardless, I just really like what Seth's doing right now, and I know he did like more than this, and we'll get to that in a few moments. Yeah. And Zelina's promo was absolutely fun. See, that's why I'm so glad, and we know now in hindsight that they didn't
break them up.
They didn't split up Zelina and Andrade. Yeah,
although there is a new rumor now that the reason they put the title on Andrade on a house show was so that Zelina could cost him the title on TV and lead them to their split up.
Oh God, I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because, dude, you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I hope we don't have to come to it.
I hope we don't either. Because all I will say, and I'm going to keep this very succinct, if they split those two up, I can only see that working if they committed to like Andrade being a babyface, because we know he can do some amazing like lucha stuff. But I just love him so much as a fucking heel. Yeah. So I don't want that to change. So we'll see what happens.
All right. After she has her amazing line about Carrillo hearing her footsteps on the concrete and having time to repent, Andrade comes back in to say it's his night, and then we get to the U.S. title #1 contendership gauntlet. Before it starts, Truth cuts a promo about wanting to be the first ever dual 24/7 United States champion and wants to hold both of them until WrestleMania, at which point he points at the WrestleMania sign, but there isn't actually one, so he's just pointing at a random spot that it's supposed to be at. Like, if this was an anime, he would be pointing, and then you would see where the WrestleMania sign's supposed to be, and you would just see like a blinking outline of it.
God bless this man for his commitment to looking ridiculous. And I mean that sincerely. Like, it's beautiful.
So then his opponent in the second member of the gauntlet is Tozawa, who comes out and wins. He pins Truth with a sidewinding sunset flip. And then as soon as he does pin Truth, the whole 24/7 gang comes out and starts chasing Truth. And just to follow up on that, then this week, we did get to see Truth walking around New York City getting pinned for the 24/7 title by Tozawa. So there was continuity there because Tozawa pinned Truth in the gauntlet, then pinned Truth this week for the 24/7 title. And then we got the whole shenanigans all night. You know, they made somebody drop their food on the ground and all that shit. Eventually, Santa pinned Tozawa for the title. And then Truth pinned Santa for the title, at which point the referee, John Cone, had enough of their shit and said that it's too cold for this and he's going home. And then Truth and Tozawa were just like, all right, I mean, I guess that's it for all our fun and games. And they're just like, let's go see if we can find this big apple that everyone keeps talking about.
Yeah, it got pretty absurd. It always finds a way to make it entertaining. And,
so,
yeah.
Tozawa, we kind of left off on the gauntlet match with Tozawa beating Truth. Ricochet came out next. He beat Tozawa in 6 minutes with Recoil. Then Matt Hardy came out, and Ricochet beat him with a roll-up counter to the Twist of Fate in 6 minutes. Then Humberto Carrillo comes out. He beats Ricochet in 18 minutes with a moonsault. And then Andrade attacks him from behind, beats him down, tosses him out of the ring, and does the hammerlock DDT onto the exposed concrete. Like, the beatdown itself was amazing because he was like, look at me! And he was like pointing at his scarred eyebrow and shit from TLC. Like, it was a great beatdown. And then the hammerlock DDT on the exposed concrete looked brutal. Rey Mysterio came out to chase Andrade off and kind of tend to Carrillo. Andrade, as he was walking away, was like like wiping his hands clean, like he's done with Humberto. And then Carrillo does get stretchered out. And we don't even get like a thumbs up from him or anything. So he just got fucked up. And then as Ray is attempting to walk to the back with Humberto, Seth's music hits. And he comes out with AOP with Ray's metal pipe. And yeah, that kind of picks up a different thing. So anything to say about the U.S. title gauntlet, brother?
Oh, dude, I immensely enjoyed it. Kudos to Ricochet for, as always, showing the fuck out. He's amazing. And Andrade asserting dominance, it's a mood. I want to experience it over and over again. And I like Humberto, but if we're all honest with ourselves, that hammerlock DDT on concrete, he had to come in. So I'm very happy for Andrade.
I'm not necessarily going to agree with you on that, but I love Andrade, so I'm not going to disagree with you either.
I know it's so amazing to be protected because we both recognize how talented Andrade is. So yeah, man, I really loved it, and I love too like the intensity from Andrade, very seriously because I have liked what him and Humberto are doing together, and this kind of teaches me, to be patient and maybe again I don't want to get too hopeful like you and jump the gun because I know God I couldn't even count in this podcast how many times you and I have been hurt by WWE in their booking.
I know,
but if they are committed to more longer form storytelling and like actual arcs and continuity and like all those devices, right? It does teach me if that was the way they would go, which again, it's going to take me a while to put my walls down. So you've got to earn it, WWE, but not to be so trigger happy. Cause like, the moment Humberto beat Andrade, I didn't shit on it because like you with Andrade, I like Humberto. I do think he has upside, but it's like Andrade hadn't lost a Raw match before then. And I really thought they were building him up to the US title, which I guess they were. But I'm like, that kind of stinks. And now here he goes, getting that heat back, just destroying Humberto, and, him having the stare down with Ray. And I think it was a segment that Andrade needed because I still say the dude has got plenty of quality years left to give to the company. Could sure as fuck have a main event run, has a great manager, great look, great everything. Andrade, I mean, El Idolo, you can't fucking beat it. And I want them.
Idolo!
Exactly, and I just want them to, tap into that.
And music playing up in my head, and I'm jamming to it. Thank you, sir.
There you go. And yeah, I just want them to lean into that, man, because like it, and that's the shame of it. I love, and I know they're not on the same brand, but just kind of follow me on this. I love the Fiend. I'm kind of male and Brock either way. It's just a shame that we're in an era right now where kind of the monsters are ruling the land. Just wanted you to get that out.
Let me have it, man. I'm providing background music for your amazing rant.
It was kind of throwing me off, though, to be honest. That's why I just wanted you to get it out of your system.
I'll stop.
But no, it's just like, monsters are ruling the land, but I really wanted Andrade to just, I wish it was an era where I could really see him becoming world champion, because I just don't think that's the time we're in right now. And that's really, really disappointing, because he's just got such an upside. But I hope that these latest developments, him winning the U.S. title in MSG, like that's going to be a catalyst. And even if he drops it at Mania, I don't care. I just want to see him in bigger spots because I think his talent necessitates those spots. So, yeah, I loved it. Let's just hope they capitalize on that momentum and they go even further from here. So,
all right. Then we had the old beatdown. Seth and AOP making their way to the ring. They kind of corner Ray. As the AOP go to get in the ring, Ray preemptively attacks them, which might not have been the smartest idea, because then the first thing that Seth says when he gets the mic is, we weren't coming out here to pick a fight. I'm a merciful leader. And then it does turn out, though, that the score to settle that he was talking about in his opening promo was that Ray gave Kevin Owens that pipe to use on him in the AOP last week or 2 weeks ago or whenever it was. And then he looks like he's going to just walk away, but then he curb stomps Ray. And then we get him challenging Ray for the U.S. title. And later on in the night, Ray did accept Seth's challenge. That match happened to main event Raw this week. And it was, we'll talk about that later. But right now, I want to just talk about the fact that Andrade was not on Raw at all this week, and then he ended up winning the U.S. title at the house show in Madison Square Garden yesterday. So Andrade is our new United States champion. In the meantime, we know that Ray didn't lose the title to Rollins in the main event of Raw this week. We'll talk more about that later because the match itself isn't the newsworthy thing to come out of that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Andrade being the U.S. champion and, in my opinion, eternally?
Oh, well, first of all, it's not opinion, it's fact. Mainly because it emanated from your face, but you were also talking about a supreme being in Andrade. More importantly, though, I feel like I already am kind of jumping the gun, and I apologize, but I already expressed my thoughts. Like, I'm really excited for it. I hope they commit to it. I would like to see the reign last at a minimum till Mania. I just want to see what he can do with the title. And, yeah, I think he's fucking amazing.
I feel like the beginning of the year is like the quintessential hot shot a mid-card title around until we're satisfied with the picture time.
Yeah. But the picture already looks so good, though.
Yeah.
Like imagine looking at somebody that looks like Andrade, can work like Andrade, and everything like Andrade, and just think, no, we can do better than this. How does it feel to be so wrong? Like, go to your fucking room and think about it. I really don't want to send on WWE to their room that often in 2020, but I just feel like it's going to happen. And then Foster, not my fault Andrade isn't able to beat Humberto. Again, I say, how dare you?
That's not Andrade's fault either. That's the writer's fault.
Exactly. Maybe they should use their pens better, Foster. Because you have better hair than me, that you're better than me. I mean, yeah, you're right, but you don't have to rub it in. Fuck.
Wow, you can see a lot there.
I have problems, okay? But I'm really, really stoked for this reign. And if Andrade's got to have to drop it, I mean, I guess you do have to drop a title so you can have both hands free to take a career because he's going to retire Rey Mysterio in front of his stupid son anyway. So, fuck you too, Dominic.
Rey versus Andrade, mask versus title. Do it at Mania.
Dude, tell me that you would not have to leave me briefly, or we both just wouldn't have to leave the podcast altogether to change pants at the sight of Andrade holding the U.S. title in one hand and Rey's mask in the other in the middle of the fucking ring at WrestleMania. Like, I feel the need to leave right now, and it hasn't even happened.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. But no, like, even you and I talking about that, that's how Andrade should be used. And I even said to you while SmackDown was on tonight, where we were kind of talking about stuff, I credit Rey within his personal powers for putting over Andrade as much as he has. You know, the 2 straight victories in that 2 out of 3 falls match, now putting him over at fucking Madison Square Garden. Like, Rey, personally, clearly seems invested in Andrade. I just want WWE to respect both Rey and Andrade and reciprocate that investment. Like, oh yeah, Rey, we see it too, we got you. So, yeah, I hope they really go all the way with Andrade as U.S. champion. I don't know if they will, but that's what I'm hoping for. So, if you've got anything to add, that's pretty much my 2 cents on it.
I don't think I do. So, let us move on. Later on in the night, matter of fact. Actually, no, not later on in the night. We'll start with this week's Raw now, since we talked about last week's Raw as far as the storyline goes. This week's Raw opened with a really well-done video package highlighting the last couple weeks of Owens versus Rollins. We got, Owens opening the show then, and I thought the video package itself was a really good storytelling device. I wish the WWE would be able to commit to that idea of opening the show with a video package to kind of catch people up that haven't been watching every week. So Owens did open the show, and then Mojo Rawley came out to interrupt him. We ended up getting a no disqualification match between those two, which Owens did win with a stunner and then a pop-up powerbomb through a table. And then Owens called out Seth and the AOP after the match. So they came out, and we got a beatdown. And Samoa Joe on commentary after this beatdown happened, got really fired up on commentary. And you could tell that he was kind of livid, just pissed off, like angry, feeling like he wishes there was something he could do kind of thing. And we got a Charlie Caruso interview. We got 3 Charlie Caruso interviews pretty much in a row, like not literally back to back to back to back, but throughout the night with nothing else in between. First one, she asked Seth what's going on. He basically tried to play the victim, talking about Owens picked the fight with him, all that stuff. Then she interviewed Mysterio, and he said that it's basically going to be 3-on-1, but he's going to make them pay. And then she had another interview with Seth later on in the night, and Seth just said that he's going to win the U.S. title and establish dominance. But then we get to the main event, and the match itself ended in a DQ when Seth got hit with a 619, and Ray was going up. He was going to finish the match off, and the AOP attacked him on the top rope. So we got the big 3-on-1 beatdown, AOP and Seth on Ray. It was mostly AOP on Ray. I don't think Seth did much. He might have gotten like a curb stomp or two in or something like that. But AOP wanted to powerbomb Ray through the announce table, but Joe did not move. He said, if I get up, it's not to move. And then a couple seconds later, he said, if I get up, it's both your asses. And he got up, he kind of stood his ground, and then Seth came in, and he was just like, listen, Joe, we don't want you. We don't want any problem with you. We're not trying to pick a fight with you. He was basically trying to play the peacekeeper. But then there was this great moment where Seth turned around and walked away past the Authors of Pain, and the camera caught him saying, finish him. And they attacked Joe, put him through the announce table, and that was the ending of this week's Raw. Like, it was a fucking great shot, great segment, great ending, everything.
Oh yeah, this was amazing. This was superb. Just the way Seth and the AOP have been getting heat. The match with him and Ray was great. The way they finished it and, interrupted it again to get that heat was phenomenal, I thought. And really the most fascinating part of all of this to me is how they're weaving Joe back into the fabric of, just everything going on in the ring. Especially because it seems like we're finally going to get, because it happened very briefly in NXT. And now we're seeing it again here, a Samoa Joe babyface run, which I feel like he can pull it off. I feel like this is and you know what, too? I got to give WWE credit for this. Just the same way I'm willing to, smack them down when I feel like they do wrong. I got to build them up when they do right. I feel like if you were going to turn Samoa Joe face for any force that would, necessitate him turning face, this is it. Because Seth and the AOP do feel legit. They do feel like it's going to be hard to stand up to them, especially effectively. So Joe is a babyface kind of aiding in that struggle. I'm all about it. I think it's time. I think he did pretty much everything he could do as a heel, as far as working with people and the promos and all that. So I think this gives him a wider berth, a new area to explore. So that's probably what I'm most excited about, is a babyface Samoa Joe. And
yeah, dude, I'm even envisioning the go home show to the Royal Rumble. It's like a 3-on-2 handicap match, Seth and the AOP versus Ray and Owens. And they get the upper hand and they're beating Owens and Ray down. Or maybe it's even they're like, oh, there are 3 of us, but there are only 2 of you. So maybe if you can find a partner, that's cool. But otherwise, we get a handicap match. And right before the bell rings, Joe, that scream at the beginning of his song plays and his music hits, and the crowd just flips their shit.
Yes.
Especially if we don't see him between now and then.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I love everything about that. Everything about that. I think this has a lot of potential, and a babyface Joe, I think, is the perfect catalyst to really get this new Seth Rollins and this new group off the ground. Yeah. For sure. I'm really psyched for this.
So excited. All right. Let's move on then, I guess, to SmackDown. So first thing we can talk about, actually, no, let's not move on to SmackDown, because there were 3 Raw segments that happened this week on Raw that we didn't get to talk about yet because they didn't tie into anything from last week's Raw. Drew McIntyre beat up Zack Ryder twice, and then Kurt Hawkins after the match, and said that 2020 would be his year. Any thoughts on this?
Not really. I hope Drew's right. I'd really like to see a year be his fucking year. I'd like to see him as a world champion. I don't even care anymore if it would be as a babyface or as a heel. Just fucking use him. Do more with him than what you have. I feel like that talent is, not talent for him personally, but it's dwindling. Just me waiting. My patience, I think, is what I'm after here. My patience waiting to see that talent actualized on the level that it should be actualized at is definitely dwindling. Get your shit together with Drew McIntyre. Look at the fucking man. You could make him a main eventer in a month if you really got the writing behind him. So I hope he's telling the truth. I'm ready for it. I've been ready for it. Let's fucking do it.
All right. Second thing that wasn't a part of the first week, Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy had squash matches, and then we got a face-off where Black put Buddy Murphy out with a black mass.
Loving this. Loving everything about this. Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black have been doing great work together, and that game of one-upsmanship with their squash matches, I just think has been very, very enjoyable. I have really been enthralled by this, and I can't wait for their rematch. It's going to be awesome. So, what did you think about it?
I loved it. I thought that this was probably my favorite individual segment between both Raws. You know, like if I were to list every segment on both of the Raws that we're covering tonight, this would be number one as far as my favorites go. This was a great segment. Aleister Black looked like a badass. He killed his jobber with that black mass. I love that we're getting to see him do like the foot lifting them up by the chin kind of thing that we haven't really seen since NXT. And then Murphy gets in and he does the same damn thing before he hits Murphy's Law. Honestly, I have expected Murphy, rather than doing Murphy's Law, to hit a black mass of his own and just to really like taunt Black and be like, hey, anything you can do, I can do better kind of thing. But he did the Murphy's Law and it looked great. And he got his win, and then he disrespected Aleister. Black offered a hand to Murphy, and then Murphy just kind of walked past, shoulder checked him, and then he turned around and he was like, actually, black mass, boom.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
A-plus segment for sure. The only other thing, though, that happened on Raw this week that wasn't on last week's Raw was Tony Nese versus Ricochet, which was a relatively short match. Ricochet won with a ripcord recoil. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I really like that. Agreed.
All right, so now we can get to SmackDown, my friend. So, let's talk about the thing on SmackDown that isn't really a story yet. That's just like, let's see what happens. Sheamus is getting vignettes now. So, how do we feel about this?
I'm gonna come out and say it. I'm excited for him to come back. I feel like he's been gone from an in-ring role long enough that, like, I would be very interested to see what he has to bring to the table. I haven't watched full videos. Maybe I've watched only one, but it was so far back I couldn't even recollect it. But I have, like, seen him in thumbnails for his Celtic Warrior workouts. He seems to be in amazing fucking shape. He's gone back to his old 2010 look, which, honestly, I'm here for. And, yeah, like, if he's going to do singles, honestly, fuck, if Braun, say hypothetically, and again, I know I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but I like to just make those connections now. We know that Shinsuke and Braun are feuding for the IC title, or at least that's very much what it's looking like. If Braun hypothetically would beat Shinsuke, I'd actually be down for a heel Sheamus babyface Braun feud for the IC title. I really would. I think I could vibe with that. I feel like Sheamus could offer something worthwhile to the product. And yeah, I'm actually excited to see him come back. I think the theme is still great. I still love the Hellfire theme. And again, he's still got a great look. He's in amazing shape. And even watching, because I don't know why, lately I've been watching clips from old SmackDowns from like 2011. And, you know, Sheamus has always been like pretty solid in the ring. Like, he's not the level of like a Bryan or like somebody like that, but I think for what he does, he's good enough at it that it's entertaining. I'm willing to give this an open mind, just like the AOP. So I'm excited to see him come back.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily excited to see him come back because I haven't really missed him.
Right.
I just hope that when he does come back that we don't get like, I hope it's not overbearing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we kind of started on Raw talking about relationship drama, so we might as well start talking about SmackDown relationship drama as well. Dude, you gotta realize there are really only like 5 storylines going on SmackDown right now. It's kind of amazing how tight the writing is on SmackDown right now. Anyway, so really, I guess you could say that there are 5 or 6. Maybe there are 6. But the one that I wanted to start here talking about is this whole Otis Mandy thing. So there's like this whole encompassing thing. There's like a big story overarching, and then there's like a couple sub stories within it. So this whole thing started last week. Kathy Kelly interviewed Heavy Machinery. Otis loves giving out presents, and Tucker says that Otis has got a big heart. And I also noticed in this interview that Tucker, like the way that he talks, it kind of reminds me of Edge, actually. Like his promo style and his voice kind of remind me of Edge. It's weird.
Yeah.
Vibe at all too, or is it just me?
I could feel you on that. And yeah, so it's the whole Christmas thing, and yeah, then
Mandy showed up. Mandy showed up with
right.
a ham. And apparently this is a gift for Otis because she drew him in the SmackDown Secret Santa. So that was his gift from her. And it led to the annual Miracle on 34th Street fight. And this year it's Heavy Machinery versus the Revival. And Heavy Machinery did win this match in around 12 minutes with the compactor. But throughout the process of the match, the Revival fucked up the ham a little bit. They threw, I think, Tucker into the announce table, which is where the ham was, and it knocked the ham onto the ground and stuff. So Otis, after the match, he was walking backstage with the ham, and it was all like shredded up a little bit, like the skin was peeled off in parts. And Sonya and Mandy are there, and Sonya tells Mandy, "Hey, I gotta go, I got a match." And Mandy's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be there." And Otis apologizes to Mandy for the ham, basically for putting it in harm's way. And she's just like, "Oh, it's okay." And they hug. But he's a sweaty boy, and he sweats up her dress. So she never goes out to support Sonya. But we do get Carmella versus Sonya, which Carmella wins in about 90 seconds with the Code of Silence, which is cool to see, because we haven't seen the Code of Silence in a while. And then as, Carmella is kind of celebrating her way up the ramp, the New Day come out. So before we get to the New Day, do you have anything to say about this whole Otis-Mandy angle leading up to this point and the whole Sonya involvement as well?
I can't lie. I'm into it.
Yeah.
It's a guilty pleasure. I know she's
awful. This is relationship drama done right, Raw.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm supporting Otis, and again, like, Mandy herself is awful. Like, I know she can't talk or can't work or anything, but, like, I can't help it. I'm enjoying this. I can't believe I'm enjoying this, but I am. And you know what? I really think it's because Otis just has that charm and that likability that he's going to be the one
acting his ass off, too.
And acting his ass off, like, I'm rooting for the fucking dude. So if you ever wanted to know how highly I evaluate Otis, he has me caring about a storyline with fucking Mandy Rose in it. Jesus Christ. Somebody bless this man. God damn. So yeah, I'm into it, man. I'm actually interested to see where this goes. And I can't even believe I'm saying that totally unironically.
So then we get the New Day coming out, because they come out, they do this really adorable, like, pantomime jump rope double Dutch thing with Carmella, which I loved. And then the New Day had a match with the Revival. And their match with the Revival is fun. I actually don't have in my notes who won this match. Do you remember who won that match last week? I'm guessing the New Day did.
Unfortunately, no. But yeah, I think the New Day would be a safe bet.
Oh, wait, no. I'm wrong. The Revival did their match with Heavy Machinery.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right. And Heavy Machinery beat the Revival. And then, yeah. So I don't remember what New Day... do I have it in my notes? New Day... We will get to that. We will get to that. New Day had the whole thing with Cesaro Nakamura last week. We'll get to that, though. I'm jumping the gun. We're still on the Heavy Machinery Revival thing, because the Revival, after the Miracle on 34th Street fight, they were still in the ring. And they cut a promo about how trash this gimmick match shit is, and how, it's not that good old-fashioned tag team wrestling. And then Elias came out with a song for them. And
yeah.
It was I don't usually use this word, but it was problematic.
Ooh, I admittedly missed this, so how so?
Well, I'll just quote it word for word. I'm not going to sing it. I'm just going to quote it. "We're the best team. All you ever say. What would really be best is if you just went away. You died 1,000 deaths. You're always coming up short. I made my grandma watch a match of yours, and now she's on life support. You want to be top guys. You want to be front and center. You're going to have to make a big change, kind of like Caitlyn Jenner. Merry Christmas, guys."
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
God damn it. Oh, I'm tired of cleaning up their messes. Oh my god, why? It's not that hard. Oh my god. Okay. Do we even want to talk about it? Do we even need to talk about it?
I don't know. Do we? You tell me. Should we?
I'll just say it's amazing for all the types of writers that they they do want to get that they feel would seemingly make the product better, that they don't like have their finger on the pulse. Because I feel like any successful form of theater, and it's funny because I'm actually reading a book right now about this, and I'm not going to get into that. Don't worry, guys. But you know, like it has its fingers on the pulse of public sentiment. You know what I mean? And you should know that your business and what you're doing and the storylines you're producing are situated in a time where visibility of trans people and all these different groups, because I also think back to the problem that people had with Kofi being chained up to the ring post like a little while back before TLC, which is why we're not talking about it. Yeah. But like, I only bring it up now, Ashton, because like I think it's on the same spectrum to me. Like it's a continuum, and it just tells me that like you do not have your finger on the pulse, and more concerningly, I don't think you have anybody employed that has their finger on the pulse, that's like in the room to say, oh, you know, the song's like 98% good. Can we just change this last line here? Yeah. That's really all I want to say about it without it becoming this thing. It really just tells me how uninformed WWE is about the climate in which their business is surrounded right now at the present moment. So yeah, that's.
I mean, Kid Coheed brings up a point. At least he didn't dead name her, right?
That is true. That is true, because that would have been really bad. Like, yeah, it was already kind of cringe, but if it would have been a dead name thing, I would have been tugging at my car so bad. I'm even kind of doing it now, just thinking about it. So at least it's not as horrible as it could have been, but that shouldn't be your standard for television programming.
Exactly.
So just keep doing better. Keep doing better. That's all I can say.
All right. Well, now that we've gotten through that, thankfully, we can move on to this week's SmackDown, where Mandy actually had a match, but Sonya was annoyed that Mandy wasn't in her corner last week. And she says, well, I've got to deliver these programs, because she had just got done signing a program. She had a stack of them that she was going to deliver. And Otis showed up and gave Mandy a fruitcake as a Christmas gift. And you could tell that he wanted to say something, but she was just like, well, I've got a match with Carmella. I'll see ya. She leaves. She goes to the ring, and then Carmella comes out. She gets kind of a generic hype promo, talking herself up. Mella is money, all that stuff. We get a quick match. Mella wins with the super kick. No Sonya, so Sonya didn't show up again. So there's a little bit of tension there between Mandy and Sonya. And then later on in the night, we get Dolph Ziggler starting to kind of chat Mandy up a little bit, talking about, oh yeah, that Otis guy, he gave everyone one of those fruitcake gifts. And, you know, I heard someone found a roach in one of them, and then he stomps on it. And then Corbin shows up, and he kind of lures Ziggler away so that he can have help in his match later on in the night. And later on, Otis would see the smashed fruitcake on the ground, and he looked very sad about it. And that was the last we saw of him.
I'm telling you, it's really crystallized for me now, us like unpacking it. I'm really only into this because of Otis. Because even Dolph, who you've been here how fucking long? Too long, probably. Fucking old ass. Like the heel heat, like the lines and everything was so cringe. And I know Dolph hasn't always been the best talker when the subject isn't necessarily like about himself.
But it was just, he's really, really good at this as long as he's allowed to be as self-indulgent as possible.
Yeah, like I could just picture him looking over a script. Yeah, this is good, but why isn't it about me? Yeah. But fucking Otis, between him struggling wanting to say something to Mandy to like the hurt holding a piece of cake in his hands, which like it even sounds absurd. It works though.
He's like, one of the few men in the wrestling business that I have that feeling of like protect him at all costs about.
Dude, yes. And like I've just decided to take like the fucking weirdness off my shoulders, that like I'm making it a rule. Once a year, we're all entitled to have our guilty pleasure storyline, and this is it for me. I'm using my fucking card. It's a late entry, but I'm enjoying this. I want to see where it goes. I'm actually excited for an Otis Dolph Ziggler matchup, provided that Otis goes over.
Yeah, Otis has to squash his ass,
which to me is very interesting because, I mean, for us, and again, I will say more you at the start, but I've quickly joined. We've seen the upside in Otis as a singles competitor, and maybe WWE is wanting to cash in on that because it doesn't seem like Heavy Machinery is going anywhere in terms of momentum. I'm not saying they're breaking up, mind you, but
right. You can also say that they're not going anywhere in the sense that they're not getting broken up either.
Exactly. So it's probably still going to be the thing that Otis has to fall back on. But the idea that once again, Otis is getting a big opportunity the same way in NXT, who got the match with Tommaso Ciampa when he was NXT champion.
The Dozer.
Otis. And now Otis is getting his own little storyline.
Yep.
And the thing is, too, by WWE standards, it's a pretty big deal, this storyline. And whether we see it that way or not, I feel like in WWE standards it is, because he's going to be associating with Dolph Ziggler, who is a former world champion and a decorated like Nick Carter. And Mandy Rose, who WWE loves because it's the aesthetic that they gravitate towards and everything.
I mean, they literally call her God's greatest gift.
Exactly. So again, what I've always said about wrestling and what I always try and keep in mind, even when I'm at my angriest fucking rage, is that perception is reality. And perceptually, these two are higher up on the card right now, and for Otis to be working with them.
Speaks volumes.
It does. It really does. So I think if you're an Otis fan, even if you don't like the idea that Mandy's, well, right? I mean, you're either an Otis fan or you're wrong. So
yeah. So
even Morrison, when he came on the bump, he's like, "I'm really looking forward to meeting Otis." Like, even
did he seriously say that? That's amazing.
Yeah, he did name drop Otis. I think he's just curious, but he's like, "What is an Otis?" So it's gonna be awesome. But yeah, no, it's great for him. And if you're a fan of his, like, this is definitely
Johnny to introduce Otis to CrossFit.
Dude, yes, and then Otis introduces Johnny to like how he grills so much meat. Like,
I was gonna say actually drop the CrossFit out of your mind fitness.
Yes, I wonder how that's doing. I haven't checked in on that in a while.
And then Otis introduces Johnny how he makes his protein shakes.
Yes. Oh, God. See, it's so wholesome. I think if you add Otis to anything, and that's including John Morrison, which, I mean, I don't know how you can add on to perfection, but Otis has managed to do it. It's like, it's just break the universe. Why don't
I love it. Abel in chat. This is a better love story than Twilight.
Indeed it is. Yeah, I mean, so just to kind of put a
bow on it. Isn't that a low bar, though? Isn't the whole meme that anything is a better love story than Twilight?
Yes, but Otis is really going to make us believe it, though. He's going to earn it, and I feel like he already has with his acting chops. And because to me, it's either Mandy's going to turn on him, and it's going to make us even more sympathetic.
Dude, this discussion that we're having right now about this, I really like when we're done here, when we're listening to Rocket, or when we're playing Rocket, I low key want to listen to a SmackDown review just to see if everyone else is on the same page as us.
Probably not. We always have. We're kind of in like our own little corner.
We have our bubble.
Yeah, we do. It's a nice one though. So just to keep it moving, what came after this?
Yes. After this, let's see. Well, that was the end of that story. So we can move on to a different story. I'm gonna let you pick though. Would you rather talk about the Sammy, Braun, Cesaro, Nakamura, New Day thing, or Sasha, Bailey, Lacey, Dana? Or just the one thing that happened this week that didn't have any effect on last week?
How about just the one thing that didn't have any effect on last week? Let's just get
Mustafa Ali got a promo, and it was excellent. He talked about his year, talked about how he got his eye fucked up by Randy Orton, almost won Money in the Bank only to be screwed by Brock Lesnar, failed to win the Intercontinental title, but he refuses to stay in the dark. He stands in the light and has done so all year. He will continue to travel the world, break barriers, shatter stereotypes, and he will continue that fight and that chase to becoming a champion. I fucking loved this. I love Mustafa Ali. I can't wait to see him back in the ring, and I hope that he genuinely does become a champion, and not 24/7 either, but like IC or US, depending on how the draft goes in 2020.
Dude, yes. I mean, you pretty much said everything perfectly. Ali's amazing. I love that he's like committed to these promos. He'll do his own promos on social media. Like, I love that Ali understands that, like, to get out of the mid card, which, I mean, there's only so much one individual can do. Sure, like, it's always going to come down to the machine, and I don't deny that. But I love that, like, he doesn't deny his own agency either. And he's like, so long as I'm making content, I'm always going to be somewhat visible, even if I'm on, like, the outermost part of the periphery. Yeah. Like, I'm always going to make sure you can see something of me at all times. I think that is so smart. That's why Zack Ryder got over all those years ago. Because he's like, you know what?
And then he got
I need
punished
visibility. For it. And then he did get punished for it. But focusing on him, he said that, like, to himself, like, visibility matters. If I'm visible, that's how things begin to happen.
You stay
Ali doesn't. Exactly. Ali doesn't want to be invisible. And I think his promos have been of such quality. I mean, honestly, and again, it's so powerful because he did that news story about positive Muslim representation, where they've always had like, oh, death of the U.S. and, spitting on the U.S. and the villain. And, we always talk about like that foreign heat, that xenophobia. Yeah. And Ali's challenging that paradigm. But I don't ever remember WWE retweeting the story. Ali's colleagues did, but I don't ever remember. And see, this is, again, I have to go back to it. And I feel more comfortable talking about this rather than the Elias stuff. Because, I mean, what can you say about it? But, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but do better. Like, get behind this. Because at first, I feel like if Ali was around like post 9/11, I don't even know if he would have gotten a shot. But now we are in an age where like Islamophobia and just this xenophobia, for Muslims and stuff like that, it's still alarmingly high and very dangerous. And I feel like seeing somebody that looks like Mustafa Ali, if you're that kind of household and you have young children like that, like that's their hero right there. And I don't understand like why you wouldn't tap into that and really get behind that. Because, see, that's the thing. I was even thinking about this the other night. We know that like Vince and all of them, a lot of like not so decent human beings, to put it mildly, and they definitely support, people like Trump and more right-wing establishments. I mean, look at the relationship like Saudi Arabia. Yeah. But that's never prevented them, especially when their hands forced, from telling beautiful stories. Like, just because, and admittedly this is conjecture, but I think it's rooted in an educated assumption, just because Vince and the people in his ear more than likely have racist tendencies doesn't mean that they're not going to play to public sentiment and put the WWE title on Kofi, which they did, at WrestleMania this year. So even if Vince would be like anti-Muslim and he agrees with Trump, like, yeah, we need to do something about them, whatever, he's still a businessman and he can still see the public sentiment. Like, this is powerful shit that Ali is doing. So I want 2020 to be his year. I want him to get a title. Hell, dude, if you really wanted to like fucking twist the knife, have him do really well in the Rumble. I'm not even saying Final Four. Have him be the longest lasting in the Rumble this year. Like,
we've got Rumble Pick'ems coming up in a few weeks. I might end up thinking, I got to remember that as a suggestion.
Yeah, dude, I mean, have him go the fucking distance. Have him last, like, I don't know, 35 minutes. I would do an hour and just, have him cut a promo about it.
Most Rumble matches don't even last an hour, so that would be stretching it a little.
True, but I know they kind of inflate time sometimes. You get what I mean, though. Like, he would go the distance in the match, right, and then he would cut a promo on it, and I just feel like, yeah, that'd be really great for him. So, yeah, just do more with Mustafa Ali in 2020. It's not that hard a concept, so... All right. What do you want to talk? You gave me the option this time. So what are we talking about between the New Day, Cesaro, Shinsuke, all that stuff, and Braun? Or do you want to talk about the women?
Let's talk about Sammy and Braun, because Sammy is Braun's secret Santa, and we found that out last week. But all that Braun wants for Christmas is the Intercontinental Championship. So then we get New Day coming out. We already talked about how they did the fun double Dutch thing with Carmella, but they come out for a tag match with Cesaro and Nakamura. And they actually do win with the Schoolboy. Kofi pins Cesaro. But after the match, we get a beatdown. Braun shows up to make the save, and Nakamura and Cesaro do have a fight, but Braun gets the upper hand. Sammy actually had to rescue Nakamura from being power slammed, so they escape. Braun stands tall, and then this week we got a video package recapping last week, which I just talked about, went over. And then we get a 6-man tag. We get New Day and Braun versus Cesaro, Nakamura, and Sammy. So Sammy actually wrestled tonight. I was so happy to see that. But there was this amazing moment in the match where Cesaro just destroyed Kofi with this amazing uppercut, and Kofi sold it like an absolute champ. He took a bump over the fucking announce table from an uppercut, for Christ's sakes. It was exceptional. It was a really fun match. Cesaro had an amazing showing as usual. Strowman hit this awesome stiff-ass lariat on Nakamura that made me want him to just be Nakamura's Stan Hansen. I want more of them now, which is fitting because that's the feud that we're actually going to be getting now. And Sammy at one point introduced a metal tray, but Kofi ended up being the one to use it. He actually used it on Strowman or on Nakamura, and Strowman ended up hitting the running power slam to pin Nakamura. So Strowman has now pinned the Intercontinental Champion in a tag match. He's going to get his match. There's no doubt about it now, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Strowman seems to be set to take on Nakamura for the IC title. That's a feud I'm into. I do have a slight reservation about the dynamics. Like, I wonder if this match wouldn't have come off better with Nakamura as the face and Strowman as the heel, with Nakamura just trying to chop down the Redwood, but in a more sympathetic way. But I still feel like, even with the alignments being what they are, these two should probably have a decent match together. I'm actually curious.
No, I actually like this, because a lot of the time when somebody starts going after the knee, they come off as heelish anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So as long as Strowman does a good job of selling and getting that sympathy, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, and I have no reason to think that he wouldn't do a good job at that. Exactly. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this.
And then after the match, Kofi demanded, "Cut that scary music off," because Braun's music was playing. And then he said, "Y'all know him as the monster among men, but that monster has a great set of hips on him." And they get Braun to dance to the New Day music.
New Big Show confirmed.
He did a sprinkler and everything. Yes, he's definitely the new Big Show.
That's all that really needs to be said about it, honestly.
Okay, well then let's talk about Sasha Banks and Bayley and Lacey Evans and Dana Brooke, because last week Sasha came out, then Bayley came out. We got a match, Bayley versus Dana. Bayley won after about 4 minutes with her headlock driver, and then she and Sasha kept talking shit. Lacey came out for the save though and challenged Sasha to a match, which went again another like 4+ minutes. And then Sasha started taunting Lacey's daughter at ringside, and Lacey snapped. She went after Sasha. We got a double count out, and that led to this week where we got a moment of bliss with Lacey Evans. There were some verbal botches from Lacey. I don't know if you were watching at this point, but Lacey had some awkward verbal cues, verbal tics that kind of put me off personally.
Right.
I know, there were, I think I remember I counted like 3 different instances where she said something weirdly or said something incorrectly. But the general gist was, don't fuck with my kid. You're lucky they pulled me off me. You're lucky they pulled me off you last week, you bitch. And then that did lead to her in the ring when Dana's music hit. Sasha and Bayley stopped Dana. They jumped her. We were supposed to get a tag team match, and we did get a brawl. I don't think we actually had a match here though. Or yeah, we did got a match. It was a tag team match, so it was Lacey and Dana versus Sasha and Bayley. Sasha and Bayley, like I said, they jumped Dana during her entrance, but they ended up putting up a fight anyway. So the assault, the pre-match assault, didn't even end up really having that much of an impact. The one cool thing that Lacey did here though was her moonsault that she does. Where she's standing on the middle of the rope facing the ring, and she jumps up, spins around, lands facing away from the ring on the top rope, and moonsaults off of it. So crisp, and she hits it perfectly every time. I love it. She hit that on Bayley, and I think she would have gotten a 3 count, but Sasha broke it up. Sasha was the MVP of this match, which, I mean, it's fucking Sasha Banks, so no surprise there. But she saved Bayley, and then she, I mean, to be fair, she also let Bayley take a woman's right because she ducked it and Bayley didn't. But then Sasha did end up winning the match because Dana got a blind tag, and she went for a roll-up on Sasha, which Sasha kicked out of and transitioned immediately into a bank statement. So she won with that.
Excuse me.
You okay?
Really, yeah, sorry about that.
Is this your Lacey Evans impersonation? Just choking in the main stage?
I should just say yes to that to save face, but it was more just, all that stuff.
You should have gone with it, man. Come on, I'm trying to save you here.
I know. I'm already drowning. Just let me die. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, yeah, moment of bliss. It was whatever. Look, for me, it's funny because, it's weird that, like, because of catch-up commentary, we always have, like, this residual stuff that we do get the chance to talk about. I don't buy Lacey as a face at all. Comes off very fake to me personally. I can't vibe with it. She just feels more naturally as a heel to me.
It's like you're still a jerk. You're just being a jerk to people that we're not supposed to like.
Exactly, which is cool.
But that works even less when we still fucking love Sasha and Bayley because of how goddamn good they are.
Exactly, and that kind of jerkiness that's done to heels, like, you should have a certain level of charisma. Charm. Like and charm. And like I hate to bring this name up because I know I've been dogging on him as of late, but Jericho like immediately comes to mind when I think about that type of babyface. It's like a jerk to heels, that kind of thing.
Apparently on Twitter, Lacey tweeted that Sasha didn't deserve to be a mother because she had her mental breakdown when she took time off.
Wow. Well, fuck that ambulatory trash heap. Because that's ableist as shit. And she can fuck off. That's the second bad take, and I'm not going to get into the first one because that's irrelevant to this. That's the second bad take I've seen on mental health today, so that's fucking great. Great to see how far we've come in the discourse, everybody. I know Dana Brooke's trying, but don't.
God, I mean, look, here's the thing. I'm sure Dana Brooke is a good person in real life, and I'm glad that she has recovered from the death of her boyfriend a couple years ago, but, like, how much more entertaining would this program be if instead of Dana Brooke, we had literally anyone else?
Yeah, like
here's
you
the could thing. Unironically put Sarah Logan in this spot, and it would be more entertaining than Dana Brooke.
No, because, like, this is in part a valuable lesson to me. Look, Dana Brooke, I'm sure she is, again, to double down on what you said, a nice person. And if wrestling got her through her grief, that's honestly beautiful. But she also is living proof that not every dream should be followed. Because I'm just not into it. And the funny thing is, like, they always talk about how, like, she's the hardest working performer, backstage, and she does, like, the main event tapings, and, like, she's always, like, taking work and just improving herself. But, like, realistically, you just have to know that, like, this is your limit. Either that, or maybe you would be used better somewhere else. It's just, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Meanwhile, Sasha and Bayley, though, continue to rule the fucking earth, as they should. It's amazing. I'm loving Bayley. I'm loving Sasha. I'm loving them just running SmackDown. It's great. It's really entertaining. Except the only thing is, and this isn't a negative to them, this is more about the writing. Where does Bayley, like, go from here? Because she's beaten Dana Brooke so many times now. Sasha the same way. I know Lacey's trying to get involved in their business, but she hasn't been, like, on the winning end of that. So is Bayley even going to have a title match at Royal Rumble? And if so, who's it going to be against? Because I can't buy either Lacey or...
Well, no, it's definitely going to be against Lacey, for sure.
Well, then they need to do something fast, because right now I'm not buying it. Like, it's just, Sasha and Bayley have been owning your asses. So, do something.
To be fair, Sasha and Bayley have been owning Dana Brooke. Like, Lacey really hasn't been on the receiving end of any of their ownage.
Yeah, but she still hasn't really, like, staked her claim either, I think. I don't think she's had that.
Like I said, though, she did have Bayley beat tonight. That moonsault would have beaten her if Sasha hadn't broken up the pin.
True. I'll give you that. So it does seem like they're going to do Bayley Lacey at Royal Rumble. I'm honestly amazed Lacey hasn't won a women's championship yet, to be truthful with you, and I don't think that is going to start at Rumble, but it'll probably start in 2020. Let's be real. So, yeah, it was fine for what it was. I just know that there's no stronger connection than the Boss and Hug connection, baby, and I'm here for it. All right. What's next?
Yeah, next up, I think... Yeah, we are officially in the last storyline that we have to talk about tonight, and that is Daniel Bryan. So we start SmackDown, and it's again, I want to just point this out. Both Raw and SmackDown last week opened with the things that closed each show this week. So Raw last week opened with Seth talking about AOP and all that stuff. Raw this week closed with Seth and the AOP powerbombing Joe through the table. SmackDown last week opened with Daniel Bryan. Bryan closed the show this week. So, like, if they're trying to tell stories on a 2-week loop, they're doing a perfect fucking job of it. Because this is, like, mind-boggling shit. But last week, Bryan did open the show talking about seeing himself in the mirror without any hair, without any facial hair for the first time in years. And he realized that all of that was a part of the Daniel Bryan brand. And he didn't need it. But when he saw his daughter, she cried because she didn't recognize him. But he recognized himself because he saw the man that had to fight for everything that he'd ever gotten. And then the Miz music hits, and he comes out and says that he felt the need to protect his family, but now he wants to take from Bray the thing that he cherishes most, the Universal Championship. At which point, King Corbin comes out because he wants the Universal title too. He said that due to his win over Roman Reigns at TLC, he should be next in line. Tells Bryan and Miz that they've both not only failed as WWE superstars, but as fathers.
Yeah.
Bro, Corbin has been cracking me up these last couple shows. So they both drop their mics. Ziggler attacks them from behind. Ziggler and Corbin beat Miz and Bryan down, and it sets up a tag match main event, Bryan and Miz versus Corbin and Ziggler. Later on in the night, we did get a quick little locker room segment with Miz and Bryan talking to each other, talking about how they still don't like each other, but they had to try and coexist. Main event comes. Miz has Ziggler in the figure four. Bryan jumps over them to hit the knee plus on Corbin, and Ziggler taps out to the Miz. Great finish. Commentary was miserable during the finish. I literally had great finish killed by commentary in my notes because commentary just shit the finish up bad. The finish was great, especially if you watched it on mute. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Bryan just continues to excel at fucking everything he does.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. He's earned his place as one of the greatest of all time, right? Do we even need to talk about that? Do we even need to debate that? Like, I feel like
and then I also wanted to add too that after the match was over, the Fiend's entrance began with the lights shutting down and his laugh playing, but then we went off the air before we got to see him. So that was SmackDown. They just like cock teased us.
Yeah. I've been loving the Miz too. You know, I honestly, it's a shame that all this is happening for the Miz now, because I even said to you, like, I feel like 2 years ago he should have been in the world title hunt. Maybe I honestly think he even should have had another run with the WWE title. Because I forget what year it was exactly, but I feel like he was so hot that 1 year, and they didn't pull the trigger, and it was just always disappointing to me. Because I'm like, he should be in that hunt. And I'm not saying it's too late now. Like, I'm happy he's in this conversation at all, but like, he definitely doesn't have the momentum to me that he did that 1 year. But Bryan, though, just to go back to him, Christ, this man. Is there anything this man can do? And I'll even get the joke out of the way. Oh, what besides, not suck? And yeah, like, he's just undeniable. Again, I don't even think it's a matter of debate anymore. This man is one of the greatest of all time. Like, just amazing to me what he does. Every change, he like is able to cut a promo and legitimize it. About the whole daughter didn't recognize me, but I recognized myself, and the Bryan brand. To your point, it was an amazing promo. And yeah, even Corbin, who I loathe, and I love taunting my friend Max about him because he's like, he loves Baron Corbin, and I'm like, he's trash. In fact, I called him Baron Corbin a fusion between a washed-out New Jersey hitman fusing with spoiled milk. So I'm just thinking of more creative ways to insult Baron Corbin besides the typical "he's bald" thing. And yeah, like, even he isn't like insufferable. He does have those few funny moments, sure. And yeah, like, I was really enjoying the dynamic with all these guys. It's been great stuff.
All right. Now we get to this week, because this week we opened again with Bryan, and Bryan got interrupted by Baron Corbin because we were supposed to get our triple threat to start the show. Well, Corbin fucking hell. Corbin on the mic says, "Set me down, boys. I've got something to say." On the ramp. So his guys set him down. Bryan, he talks again about how Bryan is a failure as a father and all that shit. The guys pick him back up and go to take him back down towards the ring, and Roman's music hits, and he tells one side of his throne carriers, "Put me down," but not the other side, so they go to set him down, and the whole thing just tips, and he falls off of it. And he recovers, and he stands up, and he looks up at the ramp, and no one's there, and then he turns around into a Roman Reigns punch. Roman beats him up and chases him, and he ends up escaping over the barricade through the crowd. and that was like, okay, well, I guess we're not doing the match now kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we got a segment after a commercial break with Corbin demanding that they postpone the match. But Kayla reports that since Corbin is refusing to compete, we're going to get Miz versus Bryan tonight regardless. And the same stipulation where the winner will face the Fiend at Royal Rumble for the Universal title applies. So, later on in the night, the match starts and we get Bryan versus Miz for a little while. But eventually, after maybe not even 5 minutes, like, it was pretty quick, actually, a few of the guys that are usually out carrying Corbin on his throne get involved in an attack, and we end up with a double DQ. And Corbin says, "Oh, yeah, those guys shouldn't be out there competing without me." And apparently Roman Reigns has been asked to leave the building. And Corbin's just like, "Oh, well, maybe I will be willing to compete with a few bumps and bruises if he's gone. So Miz and Bryan, having just been jumped, are on their way to the gorilla position, which is where Corbin is, and they beat the hell out of him. So these guys are all just kind of like even playing field now because Bryan and Miz beat each other up, and then they continue Corbin up in the back, after their match was interrupted. And then we get this announcement like, okay, the triple threat is back on. We're getting these three against each other. Winner faces the Fiend at the Royal Rumble. Bryan at one point hit the knee plus on Corbin, but as we mentioned earlier with the Otis Mandy segment, Corbin brought Ziggler in to help him, and Ziggler super kicked Bryan and draped Corbin over him. But before the ref could count to 3, Roman Reigns pulls Corbin out. He's not gone. He's still here. And he beats Corbin up, and they end up fighting out of the arena. I wish we could get footage of that. I mean, dude, I really, honestly, if we're going to get this match at Royal Rumble, I hope it's Falls Count Anywhere. I would fucking love that. So they fight out of the arena, and we basically get a one-on-one match between Bryan and Miz. And one of my favorite moments in the match was Bryan actually used the Danielson special, which I don't know if you know, but it's like a butterfly suplex into a cross arm breaker. It's a great, brilliant transition. I literally haven't seen him use it since FCW back in 2010. That's how long it's been since I've seen him use this move, which is why I popped for it so much, because it's like the second time he's used it this decade. And the first time was in the first year of the decade. So Bryan does end up winning, though. He taps the Miz out with this crazy hybrid yes slot. Like, it was like he had like the rings of Saturn locked in at first with a crossface combined into it. And then he transitioned into more of like a traditional yes lock. So like, yeah, Bryan picks up the win, taps Miz out. And as he's celebrating, we get a Firefly Funhouse graphic. And Bray says, I don't know if he is done with you yet. And then he asks Bryan if you're willing to do whatever it takes, if he's willing to let him in. And then Bryan, without skipping a beat, leads the crowd in a yes chant. He's so confident, and I fucking love it.
Dude, again, he's fucking amazing. And you know what, though? Just to backtrack, I'm actually enjoying what Reigns and Corbin are doing. I 100% co-sign with what you just said. They should absolutely have a Falls Count Anywhere match at Rumble. That would make it interesting. But can I also... because they did have a little botch that I saw highlighted on the internet. It was when Miz did the sliding out of the ring spot, and then he pulled Bryan off the apron. The hands weren't locked around the ankle, so it seemed like Bryan just kind of let himself, fall and do that thing. Other than that, though, I really loved how Bryan and Miz worked together, and I feel like Miz brought it tonight. When he did that spot of the avalanche shin breaker, and really began working over the leg, like, that was such good shit. I like that they actually tried trading submissions with each other. Miz, going for that figure 4, and then Bryan trying for the yes lock, and Miz understanding the yes lock, so he was good defense for the most part. Like, they just worked really well together. I gotta give Miz credit, man. He brought it, and I gotta be honest, like, I know I told you this in, like, Rocket League and stuff, but now I can make it public here. I kind of wanted Miz to win this so that Bryan would be viable to win the Rumble this next year. Going into 2020, because that's the one thing Bryan still hasn't done is like win the Royal Rumble, and this would have been a great year. Which, knowing that Bryan won't be doing that, makes me even more convinced that Reigns might win. But like you said, we got Rumble pick'ems, and we're gonna run it all down with everybody when Royal Rumble preview and predictions comes around. So it's gonna be a really fun commentary to do. And you know what? We're just getting our Bryan Fiend rematch, so I'm here for it. I think it should be a lot of fun. And I just hope, I'm curious the story they'll tell this time, because for all intents and purposes, Bryan should be more competitive this time. But against an entity like the Fiend, which we know how like the character works and everything, more competitive may just be a negligible difference. I don't know. So I'm going to be very curious the type of story they tell to make Bryan seem credible and like a legitimate threat to the Fiend. Because how many more weeks do we have until the Rumble? Now that Bryan's #1 contender, how much more time do we have?
Well, I want to say 4. I think it's the 26th, right?
Let's see. Does that...
Is it January 26th, I think, the Rumble?
Yeah, you're probably right, because it does land on a Sunday, so that fits.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're about 4 weeks. We're 4 weeks and 2 days,
I'm very curious how in those 4 weeks they'll make Bryan seem again like that threat. Maybe they'll have him crash the funhouse like bum ass Sethington.
No, he won't. He won't. He's not the type to just invalidate the funhouse like that.
Or maybe the Fiend will take him somewhere like he did last time. I don't know. I just expect this to go to some weird places. but Brian's so good that I expect him to take that completely seriously, which in turn will have me taking it seriously. So I'm excited for it, man. Again, right behind Becky, Asuka. This is my most hype match that like isn't a Rumble match. So I'm really excited for this.
Absolutely. And that was the end of SmackDown. So I think that we're actually we're all finished here. We've talked about everything, and it only took us 2 hours and 15 minutes.
All right, then moving right along, high spots and low shots. Yes. I'll say my low shot for everything I'm feeling. I'm gonna say the Revival, because man, they've really fallen off, man. You want to talk about Axe going back to NXT? I'm still hoping the Revival will do that, because I'd really them not go to AEW, because I know I'm never gonna watch them again if they do, because I just can't bring myself to watch AEW. I'm sorry, I can't. So go back to NXT. Start your own wrestling promotion. I don't give a fuck. Just do something that I don't have to stop watching you guys, because you really are amazing at what you do. So yeah, Revival are going to be my low shot. It's a damn shame, but they're really at a low ebb right now. Who's your low shot?
Yeah, the Revival are a really, really strong pick. For me, I think, God, I'm trying to decide if I want to go with a SmackDown guy that I have in mind, or if I want to try and find somebody on Raw. No, I do think I'm going to stick with SmackDown. I'm actually going to go with Shinsuke Nakamura. Because, you know, he's the Intercontinental Champion and he got pinned in a tag match. And even in New Japan, he knows what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's literally in the sights of the monster among men. Like, that's a terrible place to be.
For high spots, I know I could take the easy way out and it would certainly be deserved, but you know what? I'm feeling so good because I had a great day yesterday and that's kind of residually carried over into today. I got to give the high spot to my boy Andrade. He's finally a champion. He's like in a storyline low key, you know, with this whole Humberto Carrillo thing. And he came out on the winning end of it so far, you know, laying Humberto out and everything. Like things may finally, and I say that very tentatively, finally clicking for him. And at the risk of sounding hubristic, nobody deserves it more. I think he's one of the most talented men in that fucking company. And it's about time that he got this nod. So I think I'd be doing a disservice to my own fandom and my own love for Andrade if I didn't give him the high spot. So Andrade's just an easy pick for me.
Yeah. So I'm going to end up going the easy route, but I do want to throw out some honorable mentions for high spot. So
okay.
Carmella is a low-key high spot candidate because of the fact that she literally went 2-0, and she won both of her matches quick as hell, too. Like, she was dominant over the course of these 2 weeks. So she's a low-key candidate. I also, like, Braun Strowman is a really easy candidate because he, you know, last week he made a save and made it clear that he wanted to win an Intercontinental title in 2020, and now this week he pinned the Intercontinental Champion in a tag match. Like, Braun Strowman is a pretty easy pick. I also think Sasha Banks is a legit candidate because last week she went to a double countout with Lacey. This week she pinned Dana Brooke to win the tag match. She was the winning side of that pin. I think that you could also make the argument that maybe Otis Dozovic is a potential high spot candidate because he's kind of got a little thing going on with Mandy Rose, and he did pick up a win with the Compactor over the Revival last week. So even if he did kind of get his heart broken at the end of the show, we also know that it wasn't even actually Mandy that smashed the cake. So low key, you know, using that dramatic irony, we also can kind of say like his week wasn't even as bad as he thought it was, you know? So Otis is a candidate. Seth Rollins is a low key candidate for high spot. The dude is like, it's like he's home, you know? It's like he's found himself again. It's kind of amazing. And then Asuka is another candidate as well. But my high spot, again, taking the easy route, Daniel Bryan. Come on now. The dude's amazing. He's the best performer in the company, and he's the #1 contender for the Universal title, going up against the hottest act in the company. So, like, yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I knew one of us would take him, which is why I was totally comfortable taking Andrade, because I felt like Andrade deserves shine as well.
Oh, and I also, another potential high spot would be Aleister Black, because he owned face this week, both of his jobber and of Buddy Murphy, who's his rival right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think you had great honorable mentions and ultimately honestly, amazing high spot.
The writing team is a low-key high spot between these 2 weeks. They've done a great job.
Yeah, they really have, and we'll have to see if that continues into 2020.
Yeah, it's freaky to be praising WWE's writing right now, but here we are.
Anything else you want to say before I take us home?
Guess what, John?
What?
No.
Awesome. All right, so that was our catch-up commentary post TLC. This has been that. It has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-ordinator commentary, Ashton. Guys, keep joining the Twitch streams. Be sure to follow our channel. Get notifications on it. I'm kind of out of sorts here because I have like the YouTube outro memorized. So I know that likes and all that stuff doesn't really work here. I will say, quick aside, happy fucking birthday to Abel. I just saw on Twitter that it's your birthday today, sir. Love your fucking face so much. A magnificent human being.
Oh yeah, he turned birthday his birthday started 50 minutes ago, didn't it?
Yeah, and I just got notified of it on Twitter thanks to the Chiefin. So thank you, Chiefin, who I don't think
happy
really showed
birthday, up Abel. And he even asked earlier. I wonder. I've actually forgot who it was, but it was him that was even saying in the one chat that I'm in with him earlier, oh, I wonder if you guys will stay live to start my birthday. And it was like, well, I mean, come on, man. None of these ever go under 2 hours, so of course we will. And yeah, I'm glad that you remember to say something because, yeah, happy birthday, Abel!
Love your face so fucking much. I'm protecting you at all costs. Anybody fucks with you, I stab them in the face. All right. So that was Abel's birthday shout out. I feel good about it.
Yeah.
And I feel overly protective, but I'm sure Abel doesn't mind. So yeah, guys, I am a bit out of sorts given that it's Twitch because YouTube is a bunghole. Hopefully we get that all sorted out. In the meantime, I guess what I'll think to do, plug a Q&A. That is going to be, come on, John, don't fuck this up, January 30th. January 30th.
Yes, you nailed it. I believed in you all along.
I'm so fucking erect for my accuracy right now. Okay, so January 30th, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Submit your questions. Non-Patreon donors get 3 questions per Q&A. If you are a Patreon donor, which, guys, look, I'm going to clue you in on something, okay? All you have to do is donate $1. You get Discord access. It's a poppin' fucking Discord.
Discord access.
Oh, it's $3. It's $3. Okay, yeah, it's $3. $3 scan to the TWitWoW Discord. So still, though, I mean, it's under 10.
It's still less than a third of the price of a WWE Network subscription and way more worth it.
And do you really want to renew that?
No.
Ew.
Cancel that and use the $9.99 that you would have. Save the 99 cents and use the $9 for 3 months worth of Discord access. There you go.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, the Discord, not only does it have this face in it, gesturing to my coordinate commentary here, it also has the other face in it that we just got done celebrating, Abel, and it has my face in it, if you're into that. I don't know. So, yeah, well, yeah, you ain't wrong. So, join the Discord. You get up to 5 Q&A questions if you do. And, yeah, that's January 30th. Our next most immediate commentary should be, and I didn't even say, Ashton, that it seems like it's a go. The year-end show for Stardom, the Korakuen show.
Year-end climax is Monday, y'all.
And that's confirmed, right? They have all the matches up.
Well, the matches aren't all up, but they're supposed to all be up by Saturday. So yeah, they'll be up by then.
Yeah. So guys, Monday we're doing it. Monday we are going to see my girl Konami break Arisa's fucking spirit and take her Wonder of Stardom championship.
It's final answer.
It's gonna be fucking amazing. And then next commentary after that will be year-end awards on the 31st. Guys, take a deep seat. It's going to be a long commentary, but your boy John, I already have my list done. I'm not bragging about that with Ashton because he's the responsible one between the two of us.
I have my list done too. I also have my Fave Fives done too.
Yeah, see, like I said, we don't even brag about him because we know he's the responsible one. Like, we get it, Marsha. I'm the Jen in this relationship.
You did get your year-end awards done before me this year. You beat me on that.
Dude, I needed to be on top of it. That's the one commentary that intimidates the fuck out of me every year. But I'm ready for all of you. So, yeah.
Prepare John is truly the best John.
I think Prepare John might actually low-key be my final form.
Ooh. You know what? I approve, yes.
Yeah, so, it's probably not happening, but just to show you all what could have been. I know, right? That's what we're looking for. So yeah, if you guys want to hear our takes, I'm really excited about it because honestly, guys, not only did I get it done super early, I'm super stoked to share my picks with you guys because I feel like I had really creative interpretations for a lot of our categories. Ashton shared some with me. He fucking killed it as he always does. But again, that's why we don't brag about it. Like, again, I'm the Jan. He's the Marsha of this whole dynamic. So, whatever.
Marsha.
Yeah, well, at least I actually know I was the one, or you were the one that got your nose hit with the football. So, and then maybe I did it afterwards. I don't know things. So yeah, January 31st, year-end awards show. We're going live with that early as fuck too, aren't we?
4.
Like 4 p.m. Yeah.
Well, that's when we're going live with our year-end climax reactions too on Monday.
Yeah, so like afternoon recordings, baby. Get with it, or I don't want you to get out. I want you all to be here. So just find a way, damn it. And yeah, so we'll see you
like
Monday
life.
Yes. So year-end climax Monday at 4. TWitWoW year-end awards Tuesday at 4. Be there, guys. It's gonna fucking
5
pop
Fave
up.
5s Wednesday at 6.
And Fave 5s Wednesday at 6, which I need to make that list. But don't worry, guys. I will have it all prepared because just like Abel's face, it will be exceptional. So that's all from me. And because I'm outroing, I don't have to feed it to this guy. So I'm just going to say, guys, get hyped for our remaining recordings. I know I am. And enjoy the rest of your nights. And thank you for sharing your time with us. And we hope you enjoyed it. And until then, tune in. Peace out.